system of American series in the Rebirth of America. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, Empty Mouth. Caesar Palace Hotel. Yes. Owen turned over the cards, and it was indeed a red 8. Someone patted his shoulder. He turned his head and saw Wen Jiajia with flaming red lips posing with fists. Owen smiled and didn't say anything. After playing for a while, he got up and left Caesar Palace. Why are you following me? Owen was surprised to see Wen Jiajia following him. You are the god of wealth. I wish I could hug your thighs. After being reminded by Sisterling and observing secretly for a long time, Wen Jiajia changed her previous indifference and joked enthusiastically. I'm afraid I can't carry it. Owen glanced at the man who had been following him from a distance and said with a smile, my thighs can only be hugged by beautiful women, but I don't want to have close contact with men. As long as the god of wealth speaks, I can kick him away with one foot. In this way, I will be the only one to hug your thighs. Wen Jiajia said generously, without any embarrassment. Yes, she was able to hold a machete and rush into the casino to rescue her father when she was a teenager. She had been a mistress and a 6th-year prostitute, but she gave up all these things. She had been in the casino for so many years, and the title of Jiao Yi was really not a joke. The reason why she was humiliated by Mr. Deng was that she was in debt and was forced into a desperate situation. But there was also a reason why Mr. Deng's status and position in her heart was far higher than hers. And what about Owen? In her eyes, he might have a bit of the charm of the Chinese gambling Saint Mark Awen, but he was definitely not high and mighty, so she acted so freely and even said it out loud without any concealment. Thinking back to the past, she often swept all the way along the Champs-Élysées in Paris. The money Owen won was not enough for her to go shopping once, and Owen had also chatted with her, so she still had a sense of superiority in her heart. Well said. Owen looked at Wen Jiajia with appreciation. Her face was very special. Even though she was often a mistress, she was justified and had no regrets. People could not easily despise her. This was a unique temperament. But why should I give you a chance to be a thigh pendant? Aren't you afraid that I will leak your information? Wen Jiajia raised her eyebrows. Why should I be afraid? Owen shook his head and smiled. I'm just a small trick. The money I won from each casino is less than 10,000. How can they have the time to pay attention to me? Besides, even if I'm expelled by them, Las Vegas is only one of the 4 largest gambling cities in the world, and there are countless slightly inferior casinos. I just want to win some living expenses. Do you think it's difficult with my ability? Then what do you want? When Jiajia paused, her big eyes narrowed slightly, and a hint of sarcasm appeared at the corners of her mouth. Do you still want me to throw myself into your arms? Of course not. Owen smiled innocently. You reminded me just now, and I suddenly realized that I have always had a dream. That is to make a beauty like you into a thigh pendant and wear it on my body all the time, so that people can know at a glance that this is a big boss with untouchable strength. You know, the quality of a woman is always the most important decoration to highlight a man's status. TSK. When Jiajia sneered. Oh, men. You only dream like this. Just to show that you have the strength that no one can mess with, you treat a woman as an object? This is America, men and women are equal. Besides, do you have that strength? Stop dreaming. Owen smiled faintly and asked, what if one day I have this strength? If one day you can really shrink me into a thigh pendant, then I will accept my fate. When Jiajia mocked, I promise to be a qualified thigh pendant and let everyone know that you have the strength that no one can mess with. How about it? Isn't it great? Now can you let me get rich with you, god of wealth? I believe you. Owen nodded and smiled. But aren't you afraid that I'm another Zheng Yi? Do you know Zheng Yi? When Jiajia's face changed, this secret crush really broke her heart. Even if she just heard his name, she still felt heart-wrenching pain. You were so ostentatious a month ago. Who doesn't know that? Owen joked. You are just like the god of gamblers in the movie. The only difference is the background music. You are not him. When Jiajia forced herself to put away the pain in her heart and said coldly, "Can we talk about cooperation now? Tell me." Owen still did not comment. "I can also sign some chips and let you operate them all. As long as you deduct the $100,000 I owe, the rest of the profits will be yours. How about it?" When Jiajia proposed a condition that she thought was very fair, not very good, Owen shook his head and said, "If you want to make a profit of $100,000, you have to do it without alerting the casinos. If each casino is calculated at $5,000, it must be circulated in 20 casinos. It is really too time consuming and energy consuming. Why does it have to be $5,000? When Jiajia retorted, "This is Las Vegas. Which casino does not have a daily turnover of more than 1 million? Even if you win $20,000 at one time, no one will pay attention to you." Owen sneered. "Is $20,000 not money? Do you think no one will pay attention? Naive. It's just a temporary secret observation. If you really investigate, you will find out everything. I don't want to meet the forces behind the casino, so my principle of doing things is to be as quiet as possible. $5,000 a month will definitely not attract any attention. But you are so powerful, why don't you work hard to win more money?" When Jiajia glanced at the person who was following her in the distance and said anxiously, "Even if I'm discovered, I have earned enough. At worst, I can just change places." "You are wrong again." Owen smiled slightly. "Money is just a number to me. It actually has no meaning at all. I enjoy the joy of applying mathematics first, and the vacation in Las Vegas second. Winning some vacation fees is just a matter of convenience. Just tell me, what do you want?" When Jiajia said coldly, "Ahem." Owen coughed lightly and said carefully, "Since we are destined to be together, since you want to cheat someone out of nothing, then I will satisfy you. After all, if my dream can really come true in the future, your professional skills in cheating someone out of nothing are still very suitable." When Jiajia was confused and didn't know what to say, but after Rowan made a gesture, she was so angry that her pretty face turned red and she turned around and left. Owen didn't mean to force it. When Owen came again the next month, when Jiajia finally came to her door, after asking around, combined with the movie memory of his previous life, Owen guessed the truth. After being driven away by Owen, when Jiajia eventually embarked on the path of her previous life, under the guidance of Mr. Deng, she was honest with herself and thought that she and Mr. Deng were close friends in the world, but she didn't expect that Deng's naked words, when he gave her money afterwards, would shatter everything. She almost became a mistress again. She was ashamed and embarrassed. She forced herself to save face and wrote an IOU. Then she used the $20,000 given by Mr. Deng to gamble, hoping to recreate the feat of winning 21 games in a row and paying off the debt in one fell swoop. Unfortunately, this universe has long been different because of Owen's existence. When the fates of the two collided, when Jiajia lost all the $20,000 that could have helped her turn things around, she had to save face with Mr. Deng and could only come to Owen. Now she has also come to her senses. Instead of talking about feelings with someone afterwards, it is better to get something for nothing. Chapter 77. I was conquered by you. The other side of the city. Begonia Sweet. You were born before I was born, and I was born when we were both old, so. A pear tree overshadows a crabapple tree, and an old cow loves to eat tender grass the most. At night, the lights are on. Are you leaving now? Owen was packing his luggage when he heard a lost voice behind him. He turned around and saw the once arrogant Jiaoyi lying weakly on the soft carpet, struggling to open his big, dazed eyes and looking at him with a complicated expression. Of course. Owen sagely smiled slightly, without any ruthless guilt, and said meaningfully, "Isn't this the Western style equality between men and women that you advocate? If there is a destiny, we will gather. If there is no destiny, we will disperse. We will leave at the best moment and we will still be good friends. Only when we meet again in the future by destiny, can we brew the purest reunion of old friends." Shameless. Even if she was weak at this moment and her soul was echoing, but facing Owen's famous comradeship that was often named after Italy, which was so literary and fresh, when Giagia's Soul Channel that had just been opened, and Bolt seemed to be instantly crushed back and forth by tens of thousands of trucks, and suddenly became bumpy. Where am I, shameless? Owen asked back with a smile. You have always insisted on gender equality before. Why do you change your statement now? Are you only talking about the aspects that are beneficial to you? When Giagia's eyes turned red, Owen's smiling question suddenly touched her deep heart. It seemed that even her soul was exposed to Owen's eyes, and she felt very uncomfortable. She was called Gioia, and was always proud of it. She felt that she was different from those coquettish and slutty women. If you are compatible, you will stay together, and if you are not compatible, you will break up. This is her principle. The previous two boyfriends, whether it was Leo Tang or Frank, were considered to be her initiative to break up, so she only felt the benefits of this principle. The golden monkey raised his 1,000-pound stick, and the jade sky cleared the dust. Today, we cheer for sun dashing, only because the evil fog has come again. Why do so many people become so bold that they are stunned after contacting the West? It is because Sun Wukong's havoc in the Heavenly Palace is really like the creation of the world. This kind of shock that involves the deepest part of the soul. It is normal to reshape the three views. Just like the Jade Emperor who was disturbed by the Monkey King in the Heavenly Palace, in front of Tathagata, he will always be the one who was beaten by the monkey. Can he be the same as the Jade Emperor and the god of the mysterious sky? This is the case for ordinary people, not to mention that it was Owen who cleared the fog for Wen Jiajia and clarified the Jade universe. Why did Sheldon and Leonard spend a lot of money to buy precious peripheral toys, but let them be sealed in the packaging? Because the unopened ones are the originals, and they can never go back to the past after opening them. With Owen's help, her life path seems to be infinitely wider, but in fact it is infinitely narrower. There is a line in the lyrics that goes just like this: I was conquered by you, and all my retreats were broken. Therefore, the always free and easy Gioia would have a feigned attitude of a little woman, but when he ran into Owen, the shameless man, for the first time, he was immediately stunned and instinctively used the classic women are the most reasonable routine. Unfortunately, Owen is a routine little prince and doesn't buy it at all. Your eyes are red. You need to be moderate. You can't overeat day and night just because you haven't had a full meal. You have to eat until you are full. This is unhealthy. Have a good rest. I'm leaving. Owen said a few words of comfort, picked up a simple gift, and left. When Jiajia has her principles, and Owen has his own principles, no matter how unique Wen Jiajia's face and temperament are, no matter how wide her eyes are, she can't stare back at Owen, who walks through a sea of flowers without getting a single leaf on him. He is a loyal good man. University of Chicago. Lecture Hall. Kosi was the first person to carefully study the convergence conditions of infinite series, and he has been deriving the basic theorems of calculus as rigorously as possible. Professor Mickey Rosa was lecturing as usual, looking around at everyone and said, "Does anyone have any ideas? No? Okay, let's continue. Didn't they say Kosi plagiarized his students' work?" At this moment, a voice came from the back of the classroom. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw Ben Campbell sitting there with his left eye purple. He stared at Professor Rosa with a complicated expression and said meaningfully, he used his students' intelligence, then plagiarized their equations and stole their hard work. Well, Professor Rosa shrugged calmly. This is not the first teacher to be accused of plagiarism. I think the student you are talking about is Vladimir Stupnitsky, right? But no one knows the truth, right? No one has ever confirmed this, and without evidence, it's as if it never happened. And you know what? If Vladimir realizes that he shouldn't disobey Corsi and apologizes, they might create a greater cause together. Professor Osa calmly ended the course under Ben Campbell's angry eyes. He did steal hundreds of thousands of dollars that Ben Campbell had worked hard to save, but Ben Campbell couldn't do anything about him. If you are patient for a while, the wind will be calm. If you take a step back, the sky will be wide open. Owen put away the book, and when he walked past Ben, he paused and reminded him, everyone has a blind spot and a time when they are blinded by interests. Even if he is a high-ranking, cunning and treacherous whip of the House of Representatives, he can't prevent the president and his staff from turning against him after taking office. The key point is to make him believe that helping you out of the quagmire can bring him enough benefits, and there will be no risks that he cannot control. At that time, you can win by surprise and knock him into the abyss in one fell swoop, and there will be no chance of turning over. You know everything? Ben Campbell looked at Owen in surprise. Why do you want to help me? Because of the Beta Brotherhood incident. Owen's relationship with him tended to ease, but they were still not friends. He didn't understand what Owen meant by the majority whip, but he still understood the kindness in Owen's words, but he really couldn't understand why Owen would remind him. I can tell from the look on your face. Owen smiled and said, as for why I help you, we are roommates after all, aren't we? The real reason is that a simple and kind person like Owen is naturally averse to an old fox like Professor Rosa. Besides, if he can give Ben Campbell a favor and reduce his own risks, why not do it? What if Ben Campbell fails because of Owen's luck? The name Ben alone is enough to make people feel cold behind their backs. Chapter 78 Science Experiment LOL. Time flies. 2007. Pasadena, California. High IQ me, King, Zaku. Two young men, one tall and one short, took the registration form from the front desk, walked to the chair and sat down, and began to fill in their personal identity information. Leonard, I don't think I can do it. The tall and thin one took a pen and paper, glanced at the form, suddenly looked up, and said to the short young man next to him who had hardly changed since the 8th grade. Are you kidding? Sheldon, you are a semi-professional player. The short young man sneered with a suppressed smile. The two were Owen's friends. The tall and thin one was Sheldon Lee Cooper, and the short one was Leonard Rich Hofstadter. Because of Owen's efforts to fade out, the fate of the two people has hardly changed. Sheldon worked at Caltech for 3 years, and after driving away n roommates in a row, Leonard ignored the various warnings of Glenn, the delivery boy in The Walking Dead, and rushed in head first. Because of their many similarities, Leonard actually passed Sheldon's many tests. After 2 years of getting to know each other, the two became colleagues, roommates, and good friends. I'm serious. Because Leonard didn't hold up a sign that said sarcasm, Sheldon, who had a low EQ, still couldn't hear the sarcasm in Leonard's words, and explained without any surprise, we are committing genetic fraud. Our ice and green cannot guarantee that we will give birth to highly intelligent offspring in the future. Think about it. I have a sister with the same DNA structure as me, but she is just a waitress in a fast food restaurant. Sheldon, this was originally your idea. Leonard put down the paper and pen in his hand and said helplessly, with the money from the scientific experiment subsidy, we can install fractional T1 broadband in the apartment. I know, I do want faster download speeds. Sheldon struggled, but when I think of those poor women who will pin their hopes on my scientific experiments, I hesitate. What will she think if she finds out in the end that the little guy doesn't even know whether to use integral or differential calculus to calculate the area under the curve? Leonard said speechlessly, I believe she will still love him. I won't. Sheldon said affirmatively, talent is innate. A talented person and a non-talented person are two completely different races. Do humans care about the ideas of monkeys? As he said this, he also glanced at Leonard obscurely, and that little look made Leonard furious. Come on. Leonard also has an intelligence level of LV5, and they have been together for 2 years. He has long been familiar with Sheldon's various peculiarities. In the scientific contempt chain, he, an applied physicist, is indeed inferior to Sheldon, or theoretical physicist, but it does not mean that he cannot refute. Edison said that success is 99% sweat plus 1% inspiration. Edison? Oh, before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Sheldon with a look of disgust and contempt. Sheldon. Leonard couldn't help but raise his voice. Go on. Sheldon said, but remember, the second half of this sentence is that without that 1% of inspiration, the previous 99% of sweat is meaningless. That's true. Leonard nodded and said, but inspiration is not completely equal to innate intelligence. It is a complex. Even if the average person's innate intelligence is not as good as yours, after long-term efforts, it is possible for them to burst out with inspiration in their work and life. False proposition. Sheldon sneered. Those who can burst out with inspiration must be born with talent, but they just haven't discovered it before. The higher a person's talent is, the greater his future achievements will be. Diligence is just a bubble of mediocre fantasy. Oh, really? Leonard raised the corner of his mouth and began to use his big move. So in your opinion, who has higher talent between you and Irving? Of course it's me. Sheldon blurted out, but then thought of Irving's achievements over the years, paused abruptly, and stared at Leonard with baby angry eyes. Curse you. Thank you. Leonard was so excited to refute Sheldon that he accepted Sheldon's little curse with pleasure. Now, what do you want to do? Continue the scientific experiment, or stop Sheldon 2.0 that may appear in the future? Haha. In fact, you can't stop it, because you are a semi-professional player, and someone may have taken away your previous scientific experiment samples. Oh, Sheldon sighed, then picked up a pen and paper, and began to quickly draw. Continue? Leonard was surprised. Of course. Sheldon said without raising his head, since I can't stop it, then of course I will choose the fractional T1 broadband. I'm the hero Sheldon in the Eastern Kingdom, a level 85 blood elf, and I don't want my performance to be limited by the bandwidth speed. That's right. Leonard, who is also a hardcore player, agreed. After the two agreed, they quickly filled out the form, took the transparent box given by the front desk, went to the dedicated bathroom, and played a game of LOL together. TBBT apartment. After Sheldon and Leonard finished their LOL science experiment, they returned to their apartment. They were a little tired today, so when they saw the yellow warning tape at the elevator entrance, Leonard complained, "Oh crap. Maybe we should have asked the property management to fix this elevator a long time ago." Good idea. Sheldon agreed seriously, but remember, I threw the bomb in there because you used confidential rocket fuel on the Howard model rocket, but made a miscalculation when adjusting the formula. I did it to save you, and don't forget Joyce King. Stop. Leonard couldn't listen anymore, looked around guiltily, put his finger to his mouth, and made a gesture of silence. I was just talking casually. Let's take the stairs. Okay. Sheldon said indifferently. 4th floor. New neighbor? Leonard took out his key and was about to open the door, but his peripheral vision caught sight of a beautiful figure, and his eyes instantly turned to her. Sheldon also looked over and saw a blonde girl in a blue t-shirt and short jeans, packing her luggage in the open room 4B opposite. Obviously, it's really a significant improvement over the last one. Leonard muttered without blinking. The transvestite who weighs 200 pounds and has skin problems? Sheldon continued, compared to him, this one is indeed a big improvement. Oh, hi. Feeling Leonard's fiery gaze, the blonde girl turned around and greeted him openly. Hi, 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 hi. 5 consecutive hi made the atmosphere awkward. The first 2 were normal responses from Leonard and the other 2, but the third was Leonard's overly nervous response, and the 4th was an additional response from Sheldon, who has severe obsessive compulsive disorder. The 5th was of course Penny's confused question. The 3 of them greeted each other briefly. Leonard returned to his room and became more and more impulsive. The sage could not resist the surging hormones. He raised his head, opened the door, and invited Penny to have lunch together. Unfortunately, if Sheldon hadn't reminded him, Leonard would have turned the lunch invitation into a special lecture on intestinal tract clearance. So, what do you usually do? Penny happily accepted the invitation, closed the door, and walked towards Leonard's room, asking casually as she walked. Sheldon said bluntly, well, today we made money by doing scientific experiments. Chapter 79. The Stickman is coming. TBBT apartment. Because of Leonard's hormones, he readily agreed to Penny's request for them to help her get the TV back from her ex-boyfriend. However, he didn't expect that the 2 geniuses with an IQ of over 360 would have no power to resist Penny's muscular ex-boyfriend. Leonard, Sheldon, wearing white briefs, and Leonard, wearing boxer shorts, walked in the corridor in a chilly manner. What? Those are the pants my mom bought me. I'm sorry. You're responsible for calling her. I know, Sheldon, I'm sorry. You're right. My original motivation was to establish a relationship with Penny and maybe go to bed with her one day. But you took off my pants. Leonard was choked by Sheldon's direct and ambiguous words. He was speechless, but it was indeed the case. Okay, I've learned my lesson. She and I are not the same kind of people. I'm done with her. I have work to do. One day I will win the Nobel Prize and then die alone. Don't think like that. You won't die alone. Sheldon's words just comforted Leonard, and he immediately changed the subject. And you definitely won't win the Nobel Prize. Leonard, I have a question. Sheldon suddenly thought of a question and asked, Owen will fly over from New York this weekend. He is our muscle. Why don't you wait until he arrives before helping Penny get the TV back? That way we won't have our pants taken off again. Leonard said somewhat unnaturally, Owen can't come over until the weekend, and I hope to help Penny get the TV back as soon as possible. Really? Sheldon asked puzzledly, but you should know that the countless experiences of being bullied are enough to predict that our chances of success are less than 0.01%. If we wait until the weekend, with Owen joining, with Owen's other Shaw Kung Fu, the success rate will be as high as 99.99%. I know. Leonard pouted and said, okay, that's not the main reason. The real reason is that I want to establish a good relationship with Penny before Owen comes. You know Owen. I thought you and Owen were good friends? Sheldon said in surprise. Of course we are good friends. Leonard said in a dilemma, but when it comes to pursuing female mates, Owen is so enviable and vigilant. Of course I know that the success rate of our current actions is less than 0.01%, but when Owen comes, once he shows interest in Penny, with his ability, my chance of success will be directly reduced to zero. That's true. Sheldon tilted his head and agreed. Based on what I have heard about Owen's coitus history, I seriously suspect that his DNA chromosomes are a double Y structure, a supermale gene, and the urge to seek coitus is countless times that of ordinary people. Owen's growth history is actually a glorious history of coitus. History has proved that when Owen pounces on a female, no female can escape before he has his fun. Ha. I have an idea. What idea? Leonard asked curiously. You can wait until Owen has had his fun before going over. Sheldon said seriously. Owen's coitus history also proves that he never stays in front of any female creature for too long, and his powerful supermasculine aura will make many females who have coitus with him follow him silently, unwilling to leave for a long time. And there are records showing that, after being abandoned by the male they like, female creatures will show emotions such as loss and sadness. At this time, they will be hungry and will show enough interest in a male like you whom they usually look down upon. As long as you take the initiative, they will show enough interest. This is your best chance. Leonard's mouth twitched, and he said with a toothache, you mean to let Owen date Penny first, and then abandon Penny? When Penny is heartbroken, I will go up to comfort her, so that I can establish a relationship with Penny. Yes. Sheldon thought about it and answered affirmatively. In this case, your success rate in achieving your goal can reach 50%. Leonard pouted and stared at Sheldon. When Sheldon looked back at him with bulging eyes for a while, he suddenly nodded and said, okay. This is indeed a good idea. When will Owen come over this weekend? The plane is at 7 o'clock in the evening. I can't wait to pick him up. They didn't know that there are a few words on the other side of the ocean that can be very concise and vividly summarized in this situation. Spare tire, taker, honest man. But even if he knew, Leonard wouldn't mind. In the original time and space, Penny and Rajesh were messing around in his room, and he was just angry for a while, and then it passed. The fundamental reason why he was angry was not because he cared about this, but because Rajesh's sister abandoned him, and he became single again. Room 4A. Oh my god. What happened? Penny looked at the two men in underwear, her face full of surprise. Your ex-boyfriend asked us to say hello to you on his behalf. Leonard said ashamedly. As for the rest, I think it's obvious that we don't need to say it anymore. I'm sorry. Penny went forward and hugged Leonard and Sheldon one by one. Thank you for trying so hard to help me. You are so kind. Why don't you put on your clothes first, and then I will treat you to dinner. Okay. Leonard agreed happily. You haven't finished with her yet, have you? Sheldon saw Leonard leaning against the door and staring at Penny's back in a daze and couldn't help asking. Our children will be both smart and beautiful. Leonard raised his head and said with anticipation. Sheldon said lightly. The imagination is self-evident. At this time, Howard Wonowitz came over with an envious look on his face, sniffed Leonid and the other man obscenely, and murmured intoxicatedly, "It's really the charming smell of a cheesecake goddess." "Shut up, Howard." Leonid was disgusted by Howard's obscenity. Seeing Howard sniffing and closing his eyes while trying to hug him like Penny, he couldn't stand it and scolded him. It always takes a lot of time for women to change clothes and go out. While waiting for Penny, Howard and Rajesh teased Leonid and the other man whose pants were taken off and asked for details. "What? Irving is coming?" Howard stood up suddenly and shouted excitedly, "Are you sure it is Irving Lee? Is he the Dr. Irving Lee who solved a millennium mathematical problem, won a $1 million prize, and won the Fields Medal last year? Holy crap." Rajesh also widened his eyes and shouted in an Indian accent, "He is a legend in our scientific community." "Yes." Howard summed it up in one sentence, "He is the Chamberlain of our scientific community. P.S. Thanks to Wanbi and Bujing for the reward." Chapter 80 The Ultimate Problem of the American Version. TBBT Apartment. 5 days later. Night. Room 4A. Superman movie marathon in progress. After spending the past few days together, on the one hand, Penny herself is very interested in the real-life version of the genius in the movie A Beautiful Mind, and on the other hand, Leonid keeps chatting her up because of his hormones. Penny has also initially integrated into this group, so when Leonid invites her to eat Thai food and watch a movie again, she happily agrees, but now she regrets it. Finally, together. Penny looked at the last scene of Superman and Lois hugging and kissing, and wanted to cheer loudly, "It's finally over." But seeing the eyes of Leonid and the other four looking at her, the words on her lips changed abruptly. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Leonid had already replaced himself with Superman and Penny with Lois. Seeing that Penny also liked this happy ending, the corners of his mouth cracked into a flower. Of course. Penny gave an awkward but polite smile, but this smile was quickly broken. "Great, there are 3 more to come, each with a similar dream scene. You will definitely like it very much." Leonid was so excited that he almost got himself excited. "What?" Penny's voice suddenly became much higher and sharper. "There are 3 more." "Yes," Leonid said excitedly. "Are you very happy?" Haha. Seeing Leonid's expression of asking for credit and reward, Penny could only smile bitterly. This Superman movie marathon is really a marathon, damn it. An interesting little knowledge. Sheldon suddenly stretched out his hand and started the popular science mode. The easiest way to find Superman is to push Lois off a tall building, because every time this happens, Superman will always come from anywhere to save Lois. Wrong. As a member of the group, Howard is naturally very familiar with Superman movies and comics. Moreover, with Penny, the cheesecake goddess, by his side, in order to show his extensive knowledge, the coquettish him instinctively argued with Sheldon. This method is indeed very effective, but it may not be effective for the right person. I think Superman's mother Martha is more important in Superman's mind, so pushing Martha is definitely more effective than pushing Lois. Sheldon dragged his voice and thought about it. Under normal circumstances, he would refute Howard in various ways, but he, who loves his mother the most, could not refute the ultimate question of the American superhero version of save the mother, or save the girlfriend. But when he thought that his little scientific knowledge was refuted by Howard, an engineer, he felt very entangled. If you have any questions in the future, please feel free to come to me at any time. Howard was overjoyed when he saw Sheldon stuck there. He has a master's degree in engineering and has always been the object of Sheldon's ridicule. In addition, he only has a level 5 intelligence. Usually, he always loses when he argues with Sheldon, who has a level 5 plus intelligence, is well read and has a high definition image memory. Now he not only won, but also in front of the cheesecake goddess, which really makes him excited. So he was even more coquettish, and directly used the most obscene expression, and words with obvious teasing, and raised his eyebrows to Penny and said, "Any questions? Any time? Any place?" "No, thanks." Penny was disgusted, and she couldn't keep the awkward, but polite smile on her face, and she refused stiffly. "So, Penny, what are your plans this weekend?" Leonid was the one with the highest emotional intelligence among the 4 people. He finally realized that the atmosphere was not right. He was afraid that Howard's extreme obscenity would scare Penny away. He stared at Howard secretly and gave him a warning wink while changing the subject. Penny still had a good impression of Leonard, who always responded to requests. Her expression eased a little. She was about to say that she had nothing to do, but when she turned her head and saw the seemingly endless Superman movies on TV, she had already made up her mind. I have something to do. Leonard put his hands on his chest, tugged at his fingers in a tangled way, rolled his eyes, and said disappointedly, "That's a pity. I originally wanted to invite you to our party." Party? Penny's eyes lit up, but she was still cautious and asked tentatively, "What party? Let's make sure first. Is your party a party in the normal sense?" "It should be," Leonard said uncertainly. "A friend of ours moved here from New York, so we are going to hold a welcome party for him." "Oh, great." Penny had already labeled this party as a nerd party in her mind and smiled perfunctorily. "Do you think Irving has a problem?" Howard said, "If I were him, I would have such a glorious history, and I would be in the art metropolis of New York, and I would attend endless parties, beauties, hit home runs, until I was exhausted and foam at the mouth. Maybe only when I can only lie on a recliner, like Professor Hawking one day, I will choose to come to this small place of Pasadena, be a professor at Caltech, and let Caltech arrange 10 or 8 beautiful nurses for me to take care of me in all aspects." And all the time Penny was uncomfortable with Howard's dirty talk, because Howard was looking at her when he spoke, and his naked and obscene eyes were so sharp. But she was attracted by the information revealed in Howard's words. "Is your friend very powerful?" After a few days of getting along, Penny has basically figured out the habits of scientific genius Oticus and has labeled them in her heart. Sheldon looks cute, but it seems that he has not yet entered the puberty period and has no feelings for women. Howard was extremely vulgar, but he only had the desire, but not the courage. Rajesh had always been a background figure and couldn't even say a word when she was around. Leonard was relatively normal, but a little short, and he had a shy expression when he talked to her. Every step forward would force him to take several steps back. Even if he was not a virgin, he probably had few experiences. These 4 people who were almost destined to be alone seemed to have a friend who was very popular with women, and this friend was also a genius scientist like them. It was so subversive to her cognition that it was hard for her not to be curious about this friend of Leonard and his friends. "Of course he's awesome." Howard spoke first. "Have you heard of Chamberlain, the god of basketball? Irving is the Chamberlain of our science community." "Of course, their talents are below that. You know what I mean, right? Are you kidding?" Penny was stunned and ignored Howard's obscene forward movements. As a cheerleader in high school, she was very familiar with all kinds of sports. The explosive legend of the god of basketball Zhang Liangman was a hot topic of gossip often discussed by cheerleaders like them, and they once yearned for it. P.S. Thanks to ANDA 1,062,313,725 for the rewards. Chapter 81 Headhunting. California. Pasadena Airport. Terminal. The plan was a success. Sheldon waited until Penny went to the bathroom and said to Leonard, who was twisting his hands, before they even met, Penny was deeply attracted by Owen's history and offered to come to the airport to pick her up. "As long as Owen likes Penny, you will soon be able to establish a relationship with Penny." "Leonard, I want to discuss something with you." Howard suddenly spoke. "What? When you get tired of Penny, how about letting me repeat this plan? I have to say, this is a genius idea, and me. Get out of here." Leonard yelled at Howard and Rajesh. He really loved Penny. He even planned a child who was smart, beautiful, and imaginative in the future. How could he let her go? Ouch. Howard covered his chest and said pretentiously, "Sheldon, what do you mean, as long as Owen likes Penny?" Leonard yelled at his 2 friends, turned his head to look at Sheldon, and said dissatisfiedly, "Penny is so perfect, what man can refuse her?" Wrong. Sheldon analyzed rationally. Penny does conform to the Western aesthetic, but don't forget that Owen is from the other side of the ocean, and his aesthetic will be different. And when it comes to perfection, it's because your hormones are taking over. For someone like Owen who has never lacked female mates, Penny is definitely not perfect. There is a high probability that Owen will not like Penny. Are you kidding me? This time, not only Leonard, but even Howard and Rajesh shouted in disbelief. The probability is not small. Yes. Sheldon nodded affirmatively. Penny is definitely not the best, otherwise she would have become famous in Hollywood a long time ago, and she would not be working as a waitress now. Do you know the very famous Eternal Spear Choir a few years ago? Yes. They are all my goddesses, my two. Howard and Rajesh swallowed their saliva. They were the females that used to hang around Owen. Sheldon introduced them. Owen later abandoned them. Do you think Penny is more perfect than the girls in the Eternal Spear? Holy shit. Are you kidding? The 12 flowers of the Eternal Spear are actually related to Owen. And was it Owen who took the initiative to break up? Sheldon is not kidding. Leonard said with a tangled face. Owen did say that. I have also seen them and Owen's photos together. They are very intimate. It should be true. Owen is awesome. Howard and Rajesh said a lot of words, but in the end they only merged into a broken voice. What should I do now? Leonard said at a loss. He wanted to pick up the ready-made ones, but he didn't expect that there might not be such a cheap good thing waiting for him. You lucky dog. Howard looked at Leonard jealously and said angrily, aren't you a good friend of Irving? Tell him directly and let him do it according to the plan. Will he refuse such a good thing that can help his friend and make himself happy? If you don't do it, then I will do it. Yes, yes. Leonard nodded repeatedly. I will do it. I will do it. What are you talking about? At this time, Penny came over. They are discussing how to let Irving. Tick tick tick. The honest boy Sheldon was about to tell the truth, but was interrupted by Leonard in time. Otherwise, even if Penny was more open-minded, she would never be able to stand Leonard's naked calculation. Ding dong. Attention, all passengers. Flight 169 from New York to Pasadena has landed. The airport notification suddenly sounded. Here he comes. Leonard quickly changed the subject. Irving came out, and there was a woman with him. Sheldon was the tallest and had the best eyesight, and he found Irving at the first time. Woman? What woman? Is she pretty? Does she have a good figure? Howard was shocked and blurted out a series of dirty words that exposed his inner thoughts. Did Caltech already assign him a female assistant? Owen, here. Leonard tiptoed and jumped a few times, finally catching sight of Owen, waving his hand hard behind the crowd. Oh, God. Penny was the second tallest, and following Leonard and Sheldon's gaze, she saw an Asian youth waving his hand and walking towards them, followed by a big-eyed beauty with a great figure and invincible appearance. She was pierced by the light emanating from the big-eyed beauty and glanced at Leonard and the other two, who were also completely distracted by the big-eyed beauty next to Owen, and couldn't help but feel a strong sense of sourness and loss in her heart. At this time, she didn't even mind Howard's obscene harassment of her, so that she could have a little confidence in front of the big-eyed beauty that she was amazed by. Hi, Sheldon. Leonard. Hi, Owen. Sheldon was as calm as ever, which made Penny very fond of him. Hi. Leonard smiled foolishly and greeted, but his eyes were fixed on the big-eyed beauty next to Owen. Let me guess, you must be Howard Wonowitz, right? Irving looked at Howard and the others and said with a smile, are you Rajesh Kathrapali? I'm Irving Lee, and like you, I'm a good friend of Sheldon and Leonard. Nice to meet you. Me too. Irving, who is this beautiful lady? Howard said coquettishly and directly. Jamie Cunis. The beautiful lady introduced herself gracefully. Howard Wonowitz. Nice to meet you. Howard did not miss any opportunity. He took a step forward, stretched out his dirty hand, held Jamie Cunis's hand, and said with a lewd expression, Jamie, are you Jewish too? Yes. Jamie pulled his hand away, but did not pull it away. He looked at Howard with amusement. I was born in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, and later moved to the United States. I'm Jewish too. Howard winked obscenely. Jamie, you know, we Jewish men have many advantages. I know. Jamie said with a smile. Howard, do you still live with your parents? Howard's face froze, and he was a little dazed. Jamie withdrew his hand very naturally and blinked at Owen. Owen, this is Penny, our neighbor and friend. Leonard finally came back to his senses, and after introducing Penny, he still couldn't help asking, Jamie, how did you and Owen know each other? We are good friends. Owen was the first to define. Jamie rolled her eyes at Owen charmingly, nodded and smiled. I'm a headhunter. Owen is my client. Headhunter. Client Howard jumped out again, winking with a lewd expression. Which head are you hunting? PS. Thank you Wanbinbujing for the reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Friends with Benefits. On the way back, two cars were in front and behind. The front car was driven by Leonard, and Sheldon shotgunned the co-pilot as expected. Owen and Jamie were sitting in the back seat. The back car was driven by Penny, and Howard took the co-pilot seat. Rajesh could only sit quietly in the back seat, looking pitifully at the front. So, Owen, did you really accept Koltech's invitation to be a professor in the Department of Mathematics? Leonard stole a glance at Jamie from the rearview mirror, but met Owen's half smile, and smiled awkwardly. I have read your P=NP paper. It is so wonderful. I believe that as a Fields Medal winner, Koltech must have directly hired you as a full professor, right? In the foreign academic system, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees, the doctoral degree is already the highest degree, so when Sheldon and others refer to themselves, and others call them, they all add a doctor in front of their names or surnames, just like those foreign people with titles, add a sir in front of their names, which is a respectful meaning. Professor is a teaching position. When a PhD student applies to take a student, the school will select and hire them as assistant professors. The number of PhD students has been increasing, while the position of assistant professors has remained basically constant, so it is considered a promotion and salary increase, and there is generally a probation period of 3 to 7 years. After the assistant professors have passed the probation period and performed well, their schools will hire them as tenured professors, and then smoothly promoted to associate professors. Only after achieving outstanding academic achievements will an associate professor be promoted to a full professor. Of course, people like Irving, who solved a millennium math problem and won the Fields Medal, the highest award in mathematics, have been directly invited to become full professors by top universities such as Koltech. After all, the Fields Medal is different from the Nobel Prize. It is only held every 4 years, and every winner is the object of invitation from various universities, because this is a good way to increase the heritage and ranking of a university. Just look at the official websites of those top universities and you will know that the winners of various world-class awards such as the Nobel Prize and the Fields Medal have always been one of the focuses of publicity by top universities. Yes. Owen nodded and smiled. Koltech has gathered all these talented people like you. It's worth my joining. Teaching students. Sheldon in the co-pilot seat made a disgusted expression. He really didn't like teaching students. In the original time and space, when the school took the initiative to promote him to assistant professor and increase his salary so that he could use his extremely smart brain to teach his profound knowledge to the next generation, his reaction was, "You are really sick. Teaching students is very interesting." Owen knew Sheldon well and smiled. You can't hate the profession of professor just because you didn't teach little George well. By the way, I met Missy on the plane before. She is now a flight attendant. That's because little George is too stupid. Sheldon thought of high school when his brother little George couldn't play football because he failed again. So his father, who was a football coach, asked him to tutor his brother, but he didn't expect that his brother had no intention of studying at all, and finally cheated to get by, making him suffer the frustration of educational failure. Oh, I didn't expect that. I always thought she was a waitress. Haha. Owen's mouth twitched, looking at Sheldon who tilted his head and looked indifferent. He mourned for Missy Cooper for 3 minutes in his heart. He thought, it's really heartwarming to have such a twin brother. No wonder Missy didn't like to call me by my name at first, but insisted on calling me Big Brother. She really lacks brotherly love. Well, speaking of this, I feel a little sorry for Missy. I should have let her call me Big Brother for a few more years. But she has grown up and is about to get married. It shouldn't matter. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Bye. Bye. After a simple welcome party, Owen and Jamie got up and left. Looking at the backs of Owen and the others, Leonard and the other two stood for a long time. Dubs. Dubs. Rajesh, who was not present with any girls, and the coquettish Howard looked at each other. The two good friends instantly understood each other's thoughts and shouted in unison. I said it first, I like her. Howard shouted. You just like her, but I'm deeply in love with her. Rajesh was even more shameless. Wait. Leonard was a little slow to react and shouted unwillingly. Owen is my good friend. Why are you calling me dibs? You already have Penny, and you're still fighting with us for Jamie. Howard said indignantly. They all tacitly agreed to Sheldon's Owen supermale theorem and wanted to wait until Owen and Jamie broke up before trying it on Jamie. They had never approached such a beautiful woman even in their dreams, and now that they had the chance, they naturally didn't want to miss it. What do you mean I have Penny? Leonard spread his hands and shouted speechlessly. Which eye of yours saw that I have Penny? And in which universe do I have Penny? Howard was startled by Leonard's excited tone, and then he was moved and whispered tentatively. So, can I pursue Penny? Hell, no. Leonard yelled back immediately. Although Jamie was more beautiful and attractive, Penny gave him a very wonderful feeling. He didn't want to give up at all. It would be fine if Irving could assist, but Howard was so wretched. How could he have the idea of going after Penny? Senior apartment for faculty and staff of Caltech. Irving took Jamie to the 6th floor and opened the door of room 6B. Wow. It's so small. Jamie looked around and criticized. It can't compare to your mansion in New York. I still can't understand why you gave up your happy life in New York and ran to a small place like Pasadena to be a professor. With your assets, you don't even care about the salary of a professor. It's not even enough for you and Barney to go out for a fancy challenge. Am I a playboy like Barney in your eyes? Can't I be noble for academic ideals? Owen grinned. Aren't you? Jamie opened his big eyes. That made Owen hot, showing an expression that said, do you have an act number in your heart? Okay. Owen shrugged and stopped arguing. Instead, he smiled and said, when are you going back? That depends on you. Jamie pushed Owen hard and said with a charming smile, I'm the best professional headhunter in New York. Recruiting you and letting you join the Renaissance Institutional Futures Fund is the key to taking my career one step further. This is a war. Either you conquer me, or I conquer you. I'm willing to devote enough time and patience. Don't you welcome me to live here? I thought we were friends. Of course we are friends with benefits. Owen leaned against the wall, looking down at Jamie's big eyes that looked even more charming because of his raising his head, and murmured confidently, but you are bound to lose. P.S. Thank you King Huanyishan for the reward. Chapter 83 Penny Healing Method. California Institute of Technology. Welcome party. Professor Lee, welcome to Caltech. Eric Gablahorse, the head of the Department of Physics at Caltech, came over and greeted him warmly. Wow. Nice suit. Mathematics and physics are inseparable. Many excellent physicists are also top mathematicians. Although Sheldon is a theoretical physicist, he often crushes Leonard, and what makes him admire him is his mathematical calculation ability. Mathematicians can provide the most favorable support for physics research, but not all physicists have super mathematical calculation ability. Just like Leonard discovered a physical theory in a flash of inspiration, if it weren't for Sheldon's super mathematical calculation, he would either not be able to finish the paper at all, or it would be published first by others, because of the long delay. And it was obviously the first thing that came to mind, but because of the slow action, others got there first. This kind of pain is very tormenting. A person may only have this one golden inspiration in his life, and it will never come back if it is lost. This kind of tragedy is common in the history of science. Therefore, a Fields Medal winner like Irving is still very popular among the doctors and professors in the Department of Physics. Thank you, Dr. Gablahorse. Irving tightened the custom-made suit worth $20,000 sent by New York Suit Fetish, and thought to himself, you get what you pay for. Drive Gablahorse. Drive Hofstadter. Drive Gablahorse. Drive Kaslappery. Drive Gablahorse. Drive Cooper. Drive Gablahorse. Mr. Wonowitz. After a series of doctoral titles, Mr. Howard Wonowitz bowed his head in shame. So, Professor Lee, do you know the doctors and Mr. Wonowitz? Dr. Gablahorse glanced at everyone. He had just taken over and knew very little about everyone. If Sheldon had not been a well-known freak with a beautiful mind throughout college, he might not even know Sheldon and the others. A university is a miniature society. Caltech is a truly elite institution, so it is not large in scale, with only about 2,000 students, of which only about 1,000 are undergraduates. However, the school employs a terrifying 300 professors at the level of assistant professor or above. The Department of Physics is Caltech's top major, and it has been ranked first in the world for many years. Therefore, the faculty is the strongest. As the newly appointed dean of the Department of Physics, it is still difficult to recognize everyone. Yes. Owen nodded and smiled. We are all good friends. I have to say that a large part of the reason why I chose Caltech is because of them. Wow. Then they are really the heroes of the school. Dr. Gablerhorse said humorously. Excuse me. Sheldon had been trying hard to suppress his displeasure. When he heard Gablehouse define them as heroes because of this, his eyes suddenly bulged. He glared at Gablehouse and said, the reason why I'm a hero of the school is because of my outstanding achievements in string theory, not because Owen is my friend, and not because I don't have the ability to do original research and publish a series of best-selling books. What did you say? Gablehouse was confused. He had never met someone like Sheldon. Although he understood every word and sentence Sheldon said, he still couldn't believe that someone dared to confront him like this. The key point is that this person is his subordinate. He is the big boss of the physics department. You heard it. Sheldon said with bulging eyes. You reduced the great concepts of science to a series of anecdotes. Each story is so simple that it can be read within the time of a bowel movement. This is your greatest contribution to the scientific community. How do you feel? Shut up, Sheldon. Leonard's eyes almost popped out. Seeing that Sheldon was getting more and more outrageous, he quickly scolded him, and then smiled at Gablehouse. Drive Gablehouse. Sheldon didn't mean it. I can't believe my ears. Dr. Gablehouse finally came back to his senses, and gritted his teeth and said, someone on the school board said you have a beautiful heart, but to me, you are nothing. You are fired. Sheldon, apologize to Dr. Gablehouse. Owen advised. Why? Sheldon raised his head and said unconvinced. Because your favorite Professor Hawking is doing the same thing. Owen said, a brief history of time, the universe in a nutshell, the origin of the universe, can teach profound scientific theories to others in the most popular and easy to understand form. This is a great thing. Yes. Leonard echoed. Sheldon, think about it. There are many people like us who finally embarked on the path of science because of Professor Proton's popular science program. Do you also want to question Professor Proton's contribution? Sheldon was stunned and speechless, and his cheeks began to twitch unnaturally. Okay. After Owen's mediation, Dr. Gablehouse's face looked much better. Seeing Sheldon's expression of wanting to cry, he laughed at himself in his heart. Why should I care about a giant baby? But this does not mean that he will be generous and write off the offense just now. He is the newly appointed dean of the physics department, and he still has to maintain his authority. Sheldon, you will be temporarily suspended from work and take a good rest. When you read my book and your intestines are not moving smoothly, we will talk again. After this farce, the atmosphere of the welcome party was much worse. After it was over, everyone returned to the TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Sheldon, the giant baby Cooper, glared at Owen and Leonard fiercely, then rushed into the bedroom with grievance. After a while, the sound of low sobbing was faintly heard. So, why didn't Jamie come? Leonard had long been accustomed to Sheldon, and didn't care at all. He asked the most concerned question. She felt a little uncomfortable, and stayed in the apartment to rest. Owen smiled. Is it skin pain? Howard smiled obscenely. You know, the common symptoms of too long friction time. You know it very well. Owen smiled without comment. Believe me, Howard said sadly, I'm an expert in this area. Haha. Owen nodded secretly. Howard did know it very well, but he didn't want to go into details. Seeing Leonard's disappointed face, he was moved and smiled. So, Leonard, why don't you ask Penny out? Why should I ask Penny out? Leonard smiled awkwardly. Because there is a special connection between you two. Owen said casually, and I heard from you that Penny is breaking up with her boyfriend, who she has lived with for 4 years. This should be your best chance. Really? Leonard's eyes lit up, but he hesitated unconfidently. Believe me. Owen smiled confidently. I'm a professional in this area. Penny is the kind of girl who has a special healing method. Whoever takes the initiative at this time will be very lucky. Special healing method? Rajesh and the other two shouted in unison. Yes. Owen's mouth curled up. Some girls will choose a handsome guy after a breakup and then go through 36 hours of meaningless special rehabilitation. Of course, the premise is that the lucky dog can hold on. So that's it. Leonard suddenly realized, no wonder the handsome guy's name is Doug. P.S. Thank you for the reward from Endless Zero Chengin. Chapter 84. Dr. Pride. TBBT apartment. 3 weeks later. Ever since Owen and Leonard used their words to make Sheldon cry, Sheldon has been in a cold war with them. Whenever Sheldon walked out of the bedroom and saw the two, he would put his hands on his temples and stare at them with round eyes. Come on. Sheldon, be more mature. You can't blow our heads off with your mind. Leonard rolled his eyes and said weakly. Owen, who was sitting on the other side, glanced at Leonard, thinking of the scene in the previous life when the two of them had a fight in public for this, which was recorded by Howard and uploaded to the internet, and he couldn't help but give a bright smile to the mature Leonard. You can't be sure. Sheldon continued to move and said in a silly and cute way, even if I can't blow your heads off, I will make you have an aneurysm. Ouch. Howard was watching the fun from the side. You really pissed him off this time. Fortunately, there are no superhumans in our world. Rajesh echoed and said, otherwise you should be careful. With Sheldon's IQ and the experience of being hit by you, he will turn into Captain Arrogance in a minute and use his superpower, arrogance, to blow your heads off. No. If my superpower is arrogance, then I should be called Dr. Pride. Sheldon's eyes lit up and threatened. Then I will create a super armor like Dr. Doom that combines technology and magic, and use the mechanical tentacles like Dr. Octopus to grab you in the air on the left and right, and look at you with a turbid and terrifying yellow demon eyes like the Green Goblin, so that you know how wrong it is to offend me, Dr. Pride, and then emit special rays to destroy you. Wow. What a wonderful imagination. Owen clapped his hands in admiration, but he muttered to himself, if I can really travel to the Marvel universe in the future, should I take Sheldon with me? I really want to see Sheldon's performance in the extraordinary universe. Dr. Doom, Dr. Octopus, and Green Goblin, who Sheldon mentioned casually, are all well-known villains in Marvel Comics. What's very appropriate is that, like Sheldon, they were all scientists with super IQs before they turned evil. Maybe he can really follow the path of Dr. Doom's technology and magic and become a supervillain as he said. Don't think that Sheldon's LV5 plus intelligence is not as good as Iron Man's LV6 intelligence. In fact, it is completely suppressed by the world's limit. In the positive universe centered on the Big Bang Theory, LV5 plus intelligence is already the highest existence, but in the Marvel universe, Iron Man's LV6 intelligence is far from it. There are many LV7 level omniscient and omnipotent bosses above him. And considering that Sheldon has been able to succeed in everything he does since he was a child, once he travels to the extraordinary universe, he will at least not be weaker than Iron Man. Sheldon, are you sure you don't need to apologize to Dr. Gablehouse? I'm sure he'll let you go back to work. Never. Sheldon paused his mind explosion, walked to the open kitchen, opened the refrigerator, took out a bottle of water, and then glared at Owen with his bulging eyes. I don't want to go back to work. I've spent the past 3.5 years staring at a board full of equations. Before that, I spent 4 years writing papers, and before that, I was in college. This is my first break in more than a decade. I'm going to enjoy it. No wonder you're so skilled at glaring at people. It turns out you've practiced. Owen suppressed his laughter and suddenly realized. Bang. Sheldon put his hand on his temple again, glared at Owen fiercely, threw his robe, and went back to the bedroom proudly. So, Leonard, you haven't taken any action yet. Owen looked at Leonard. Yeah, Leonard twisted his hands together again, and said with a tangled face, Penny is still rehabilitating with Doug. Wow. Howard said obscenely, beast type Rahab applause. I like it. Is there anything you don't like? Leonard said unhappily, you even like dolphins. Very appropriate. Rajesh held back his laughter and nodded repeatedly. Dolphins are so cute. Who doesn't like them? Howard shrugged and said indifferently. Irving, can you? Leonard hesitated to speak. What's wrong? Owen asked curiously. He didn't know that Leonard and the other two had been led into a trap by Sheldon. I haven't seen Jamie recently. Is she okay? Howard understood Leonard's hesitation at a glance, and his heart moved. Then he remembered that they hadn't seen Jamie since the airport pickup. Oh, she's fine. Owen raised the corner of his mouth and said meaningfully, it's just that she is not used to the weather here. As you know, Pasadena is just next to Los Angeles. It is sunny almost 365 days a year. She is a girl from New York in the East. How can she withstand the endless sunlight in the West? I originally wanted to drive her out to play, but in the end she didn't even step out of the apartment door. A week ago, I helped her get on the plane back to New York, who was so weak from the sun that she could hardly stand. It was not until yesterday, when we talked, that she said she had some strength and struggled to go to work. Leonard and the other two lamented in unison. They were still waiting to verify Sheldon's supermale theorem about Owen. Now Jamie was back in New York. One was in the east and the other was in the west. The straight line distance was nearly 4,000 kilometers. It would take nearly 7 hours to fly. If it really succeeded, it would be no different from a cross-border relationship. In America, even children and their teens know that long-distance relationships are doomed to fail, not to mention cross-border relationships. Howard was the most sensitive in this regard. He instinctively felt that something was wrong. Thinking carefully about Owen's words, suddenly a bold idea came to his mind. Even he was shocked by this bold idea. He half opened his mouth, stared at Owen, and muttered, "No way." Owen and Howard looked at each other and knew that the extremely vulgar Howard heard the rich connotations in his words, so he smiled meaningfully at Howard. FK. At this moment, Howard finally confirmed his bold idea. He was stunned and muttered, "It's been 2 whole weeks. In the war between men and women, I have never lost." Owen laughed in his heart. In the war between men and women do have more advantages, but is Owen an ordinary person? Jamie thought she could conquer him, which was beyond her ability. Leonard was sad that Jamie left without saying goodbye, but also a little happy that Owen's schedule was free. He glanced at Howard and Rajesh, and under their encouraging eyes, watching the fun and not minding the big things, he stammered out the genius idea they had discussed before. Puff. After listening to it, Owen sprayed out a mouthful of salt soda. P.S. Thanks to book friends 201902170641233345 and endless zero changin for the reward. Chapter 85 Brotherly Code. TBBT apartment. Ahem. Owen coughed for a long time before he recovered. He looked at Leonard strangely. "I'm sorry, can you say it again? What do you want me to do?" Leonard was closer to a normal person. Seeing Owen's reaction, the remaining shame in his heart suddenly burst out. He sat there rubbing his hands awkwardly, unable to say anything. He wants you to pick up Penny and then find the right time to dump her so that he can take over and experience the joy of beast-type rehabilitation. Applause. The wretched Howard had no worries and answered Owen's words directly. "I'm serious about Penny." Seeing Owen's stunned look, Leonard emphasized it deliberately. "If you were a playboy, I would understand it better." Owen muttered to himself, and suddenly his mouth twitched. "You were so enthusiastic about Jamie before, and you were so disappointed when Jamie left. Is this your idea?" "No." "Yes." "Of course." 3 voices, 2 completely different answers. It is obvious that the one who denied it was Leonard, who was a little ashamed, and the ones who admitted it were Howard and Rajesh, who were flirtatious. Holy shit. Owen cursed, defeated by this group of people, and thought to himself, the ideas of geniuses are really different from those of us mortals. This restricted scene actually appeared in front of me again. Although Owen's intelligence is now the same as Sheldon's, up to the limit value LV5+, he is a genius among geniuses, but his worldview was cultivated in his previous life. He really can't accept Leonard's genius ideas. MP4. "Guys, we have to talk." Owen sat up straight and said with a serious face, "I'm sorry, Owen, they are joking." Leonard was a little flustered. He knew that their ideas were a little shameless. He had only rationally analyzed the possibility and success rate before, but forgot the emotional attributes attached to such things. Listen, this world has many operating rules, which are as unshakable as the truth formulas of mathematics and physics. Owen waved his hand to interrupt Leonard and said solemnly, and the Brotherhood law is a very important one among them. Brotherhood law? Leonard and the other two were attracted by Owen's words. Yes. Owen walked to the desk, operated on Leonard's notebook for a while, opened a document, and said to Leonard and the other two, this Brotherhood code records the basic rules that brothers should abide by. Brothers should abide by them. Rule 28. If you encounter a fight between women, you should notify your brothers in time to come and watch. Howard read. Haha, it's interesting. Look at this one. Rajesh also said excitedly. Rule 110. If a brother is trying to pick up a girl, then the brother should do everything he can to help him succeed. Swish. Howard and the other two looked at Irving in unison, and the meaning was obvious. This rule seemed to coincide with their genius idea. Brothers, don't just look below. Look here. Irving pulled the document back to the top and reminded. The first rule, don't touch your brother's girlfriend or boyfriend. What about ex-girlfriends? Howard cleverly found the problem. What about enthusiastic Italian female friends? In theory, ex-girlfriends and enthusiastic Italian female friends do not fall within the scope of the first rule of the Brotherhood Code. Irving smiled and said, but I suggest that you should take the initiative to expand the scope of the first rule to cover ex-girlfriends and enthusiastic Italian female friends. Why? Leonard and the other two asked in unison. Their three views are completely Western. In their opinion, after breaking up, the ex-girlfriend can choose to be with anyone, even with their good friends. Of course, it is a little awkward at first, but you will get used to it slowly. This is the case with ex-girlfriends, not to mention enthusiastic Italian female friends. Think about this scene. Irving did not answer directly, but began to describe the scene. When you are making out with a girl, you can see countless little Howards all over the girl's body, standing or lying down, smiling at you, and saying to you, this is the position I have occupied. Can you still eat it? Haha, it's quite interesting. Rajesh, who has a tendency to be a true gay friend, first reacted by laughing, and then, in the strange eyes of everyone, he lowered his head and explained in a cover-up, I mean a ugh. Leonard retched. His super imagination, which far exceeds that of most geniuses, vividly depicted the scene with Irving's voice, which immediately made him extremely sick. I don't care. Howard shrugged. Shut up, Howard. Leonard felt that the countless little Howards shaking in front of him became clearer and more obscene, and couldn't help shouting. Do you understand now? Irving smiled. I see. Leonard said weakly. Don't worry, Leonard, I can foresee that, as long as you persist, you will end up with Penny. Owen comforted him. Really? Leonard obviously didn't believe himself. In fact, after he and Penny had been dating for many years and even got married, when he went to a gathering place for geeks, he would ask Penny to take a selfie with the newspaper of the day to prove that he really had a close relationship with the blonde beauty in front of him. Whether others believed it or not was one thing, but he himself obviously felt it was a dream. Yes. Owen smiled and said, this is a special ability I have gained in the process of dating girls over the years. Is it possible for you? I can see it at a glance. Wow. Cool. Howard and Rajesh exclaimed. What about me? And me? You can do it. Irving joked. You can live happily without a woman. Hahaha, just kidding. You don't have a goal now. How do I know if you have a chance? Haha, Irving, you are so funny. Howard pointed at Irving, showing an awkward smile with his lips curled. Rajesh lowered his head with a guilty conscience. But Penny has a boyfriend now? Leonard thought of Irving's record and instinctively believed in Irving's superpowers. A smile appeared on his face, but he was still entangled. That's not a boyfriend, just a rehabilitation product. Irving waved his hand and said, what you need now is to wait for the opportunity. Before that, if your hormones are about to explode, you can learn from Penny and find someone to deal with the emergency first. This may stimulate Penny and become a catalyst for your relationship. Stimulate Penny, what does this mean? Leonard humbly asked for advice. Women are more sensitive in terms of emotions, and their possessiveness is no less than men. Owen laughed. The look you gave Penny was so naked. How could she not know what you meant? She just pretended not to know. That's right. Absolutely correct. Howard and Rajesh echoed. You take her letters every day and then use the excuse of a delivery error to get close to her. It's really old-fashioned. Yes, you have shown enough courtship messages, Owen affirmed, but she didn't respond at all. It's time to pause and let her feel disappointed. Believe me, this is definitely a good thing for you. It depends on your choice whether you can become a lucky dog. P.S. Thanks for the reward at 3:42 in the morning. Chapter 86 The True Fragrance Theorem. Pasadena Airport. Mrs. Cooper, it's nice to see you again. Oh, little Owen has grown up. God bless you. You have done such a wonderful career. I'm so happy for you. Thank you for picking me up. Sheldon's mother Mary Cooper gave Owen a warm hug. Owen looked at her with a guilty look. After making sure that she didn't know something, he smiled reservedly. Thank you. Hi, Mrs. Cooper. Hi, Leonard. Thank you for calling to inform me. Seeing Leonard coming out from behind Owen, Mary Cooper said in surprise, sorry, I didn't see you just now. Leonard couldn't help pouting and was sad again for his height that had not changed since the 8th grade. In the car. Thank you for coming so quickly. We really don't know what to do. Owen was driving and Leonard was sitting in the passenger seat. He turned his head and said helplessly to Mary Cooper in the back seat, Sheldon is still angry with us and doesn't listen to us at all. Although we haven't heard it before. But this time he lost his job and lost the focus of his life. We are really worried about him. I know. Mary Cooper nodded slightly and said calmly, Shelley is like this. He has the scientific talent given by God in the same eyes as me, but he inherited his father's bad temper. Thank you for being so tolerant of him. I will solve this problem. Thank you. Leonard smiled with relief. For the first time, he felt that his tolerance of Sheldon in the past was meaningful in addition to survival. So, Owen, are you married? What? Owen, who was driving, was startled and almost made an emergency stop drift. Mary smiled and said, I remember you are 3 years older than Shelley. You are 30 now, right? Don't you have any plans to get married? Ahem. Owen laughed dryly. In the scientific community, 30 is still very young. It's too early to talk about marriage now. In fact, I don't even have a girlfriend now. Oh, that's a pity. As Leonard rolled his eyes, Mary Cooper said regretfully, do you remember Missy? Haha, of course I remember. Owen smiled awkwardly, thinking, you are so familiar with each other, how could I not remember? She is getting married soon. Mary Cooper shook her head and said, but I don't like her fiancé very much. I have always heard Missy talk about you before, and I thought you had a chance to be together. Haha, really? Owen laughed awkwardly. What can he say in front of someone's mother? He is also helpless. He is a very loyal and principled man. Every woman who has come into contact with him knows. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Ta ta ta. When Leonard opened the door, what caught his eyes was a loom. There was a person sitting in front of the loom. Because he was wearing a shawl, it was hard to tell whether it was a man or a woman. He was weaving in a very serious manner. At this moment, even Mary Cooper was stunned for a long time and shook her head speechlessly. Mommy? The sound of the door opening startled the other party. When he turned around, Sheldon's silly face was revealed. Hi, baby. Mary Cooper hurried forward and hugged her baby son to calm herself down first. Did you call my mother? Sheldon's eyes widened, and he spoke to Owen and Leonard. Leonard lowered his head in shame, while Owen smiled and nodded. After Sheldon had a childish rant and retreated to his bedroom, Leonard looked at Owen in surprise. Aren't you worried that he will continue to be angry with you? He is on the blacklist and will be struck out. I know. Owen smiled mysteriously, but the premise is that he has to hold on. Oh my god. Leonard is very familiar with Sheldon. After a little thought, he knew that Owen must have prepared some kind of gift that Sheldon could not refuse. As a geek and a physicist, he could not refuse anything that Sheldon could not refuse. What gift did you prepare for him? Star Trek gift pack? Professor Hawking's autograph? Ah, you didn't invite Professor Proton to come. You will know. Facing the excited Leonard, Owen smiled lightly and said nothing. Even if she is Sheldon's mother, it takes enough patience to persuade the stubborn Sheldon. Mary Cooper stayed in Pasadena for 3 days, staying up with Sheldon like a hawk. In the end, she couldn't stand it anymore and got angry and tamed Sheldon. She followed him to call Tech obediently, apologized to Dr. Gablehouse, the head of the physics department, and got his job back. How is it? Owen looked at Sheldon, who walked out alone with a confused face, and asked with a smile. I don't want to talk to you. I will never forgive you. Hey, SDCC tickets. First day tickets. Is this for me? Oh. Thank you. Owen, you are really my best friend. Sheldon's words were not finished yet, but his eyes were completely attracted by the San Diego Comic-Con tickets in Owen's hand. In front of Owen, he vividly staged a drama of really fragrant. For a science geek, the largest comic exhibition in the Western Hemisphere, the San Diego Comic-Con, is a paradise. It is only held once a year in July for 4 days. Tickets are as high as $200, and hotel accommodation and other miscellaneous expenses are not less than $500 or $600. If you meet a cartoonist you like and want to buy an original painting signed by the other party, or a precious movie prop model, the cost is tens of thousands. But this still can't stop people's enthusiasm. The number of people flocking to the San Diego Comic-Con has been growing every year, and now it has reached more than 100,000 people, but the number of tickets is far less than the number of eager participants. Whenever tickets for the year go on sale, the crazy rush to buy them online can be vividly described with just one picture. Sheldon and the other 4, each with a laptop, sat there nervously for more than half an hour in advance, waiting for the official website to start selling tickets. Rajesh wanted to pee when he was nervous. Sheldon complained that he reminded Rajesh every year to put on diapers in advance. Rajesh was not unwilling, but he had to give up this genius idea because he would get diaper rash. When the countdown began, Leonard took out his asthma inhaler and took a few puffs there. The 4 of them all pressed their fingers on the keyboard, and then at a command, they pressed frantically. People who didn't know the scene thought they were playing some amazing game. Then, at Sheldon's reminder, they began to press the F5 key frantically, shouting slogans in unison. Refresh. 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 But even so crazy, they still couldn't grab any tickets. After pressing the keys frantically for 10 minutes, when his fingers were almost broken, Leonard successfully entered the purchase page, but unfortunately there were only tickets for the last day. Sheldon complained there. Sunday is the worst day. There are not many people. Most of the interviews worth watching have ended, and the remaining theme t-shirts are only small and XXXXL. Before he finished speaking, Leonard announced, there are no tickets for Sunday. Sheldon yelled, no, I love Sunday's tickets so much. Then when Leonard and the other 2 were silent and lost, Sheldon pretended to be strong but failed, and started sobbing there. Just imagine, in this situation, what a surprise it must have been for Sheldon when Owen gave him the first day admission ticket. There was no blacklist or anything like that. At this moment, Owen was definitely Sheldon's best friend. P.S. Thanks to Big Cat Zyong and UUPO for the reward. Chapter 87. I have someone above me. TBBT apartment. Holy crap. As Penny was stunned, a black extended Cadillac limousine slowly drove over. You are just going to that anime convention. Do you need to be so exaggerated? Penny looked at the luxurious extended Cadillac on the left, and looked at Sheldon in Batman uniform, Leonard in Superman uniform, Howard in Cyborg uniform, Owen in Flash uniform, and Rajesh in Wonder Woman uniform on the right, and she felt bad. This kind of extended limousine with a driver costs at least $3,000 a day to rent. In her impression, it has always been a party tool exclusively for those upper class people in suits and dresses. When did these childish animaticas start to use this when traveling? Penny, do you want to go with us? Leonard, the little Superman Hofstadter, invited with expectation. Yes, it's fun there. Howard echoed. Can I? Penny looked at the stretched Cadillac, and the decisiveness that had made her eject Leonard's invitation disappeared. She looked at Owen hesitantly. Leonard wanted to put Owen's supermale theorem into practice before, so he whispered everything he knew about Owen in Penny's ear. Penny couldn't remember any Fields Medal winners, but she was deeply impressed by Owen's $1 million prize for the Millennium Mathematical Problem. Although millionaires are nothing in the whole of America, they are still one of the best in Penny's circle of friends. Of course. Owen nodded and smiled. We booked a suite, and the room is big enough. If it doesn't work, you can squeeze in with Leonard. I believe he won't mind. Hehe. Leonard smiled foolishly. I can too. Howard smiled obscenely. Rajesh also raised his hand silently. Oh, stop it. Penny patted Owen lightly and said more flirtatiously than embarrassedly. Then I'll go upstairs to pack my things now. Wait for me. 5 minutes later. Penny came down with the suitcase swiftly. Who said Penny has procrastination? Seeing Leonard approaching to take Penny's suitcase, but found that he could hardly lift it, Penny finally stretched out her hand, which was bigger than Leonard's, and picked it up lightly and put it in the trunk. Owen smiled and muttered to himself, how can this action be called procrastination? In fact, Penny is like most girls. She will only have all kinds of girls' usual problems in front of Leonard, who she has already taken over. When it comes to Owen, who is not interested in her at all, but she is very interested in him, she immediately has no problems. Wow. After entering the car, Penny looked up and saw that the interior decoration was completely a small KTV box with 3 rows of leather seats, a car refrigerator and a mini bar next to it. Let's go. After Owen told the driver, the extended Cadillac started steadily. At the same time, Rajesh silently pressed the audio button. The lights of the dance hall flashed, and a steel pipe slowly rose in the dynamic music. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for your change? Rajesh took a big gulp of wine, eliminating the negative state of being unable to speak in front of women. He tore off the Wonder Woman uniform that was not much on his upper body, looked around, and said coquettishly with his unique Indian accent and slutty eyes, you really shouldn't have made that cocktail. Because Penny was sitting next to him, Leonard tried his best to block Rajesh's coquettish dance, and complained with a pout. Yeah. Penny nodded in agreement with a sense of sympathy. Before, she was going to become a bartender, and needed to practice mixing various cocktails, so she asked Leonard and others for help, and asked them to pretend to be customers and order drinks. But she didn't expect that, after drinking a glass of cocktail, Rajesh magically eliminated the obstacle of not being able to speak in front of girls. But from then on, the quiet and docile Rajesh was gone forever. As long as he drank a glass, he would transform instantly. Coupled with the magical talent of Indians, once the music started, there was nothing he couldn't do, except what you didn't expect. This is the most disgusting Wonder Woman I've ever seen. Howard looked at his good friend who was electric hips and 4 arches. As coquettish and wretched as he was, he couldn't stand it for a while. So, you and that female scientist. Under Owen's intentional arrangement, Leonard and Penny sat next to each other in a corner. Because of Rajesh's trouble, Leonard and Penny squeezed together from time to time. Penny glanced at Owen, who had no interest in her, and decisively chatted with Leonard. Are you talking about Leslie? Leonard was happy in his heart, looked at Owen gratefully, and then told the truth. To be honest, I don't think we are suitable. They are not unsweetable. Before he finished speaking, Sheldon began to stab him as usual. After Leslie used him, she threw him away like overnight hot and sour sauce. Thank you, Sheldon. Leonard gritted his teeth with a helpless look on his face. Thank you and your family. You're welcome. Sheldon usually does not accept ridicule, and replied seriously. Oh, sorry. Penny apologized in her words, but a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. I believe you will meet a girl who is more suitable for you. At this moment, Owen seemed to hear Penny's voice. The unique science geek spare tire is finally back. Also in California, San Diego is only about 120 kilometers away from Pasadena, so an hour and a half later, the extended Cadillac courtesy car had stopped in front of the Hilton Hotel. The receptionist stepped forward skillfully and opened the car door. When he saw the special costumes of Irving and others, he was not surprised, because this is the largest international anime exhibition in the Western Hemisphere. There are hundreds of thousands of anime fans who come to participate, and they are used to seeing all kinds of uniforms. The Justice League suits of Irving and the other 5 are still superhero uniforms after all. Other non-mainstream uniforms such as zombies, vampires, werewolves, demons, etc. are really a bit scary to appear in the middle of the night. Sir, do you have a reservation? The receptionist asked politely. Yes. Irving reported his identity information. After the receptionist confirmed it, she took out the room card and handed it to Irving. Everyone walked through the bright and luxurious corridor and came to the suite reserved by Irving. After settling in, Leonard, who was lying on the sofa, sighed comfortably. Irving, I still can't believe it. You actually got the tickets for the anime exhibition in advance. Is it because of the identity of the Fields Medal winner? Howard guessed. Haha, none of them. Irving smiled mysteriously. I have someone above me. Beep beep. Just when everyone was speechless and secretly guessing, Owen's cell phone rang. P.S. Thank you 911 for the reward. Chapter 88 Indian Treasures. Hilton Hotel. You guys go shopping first. Don't wait for me. I might be back very late. Owen said hello to everyone, picked up the phone and answered. I'll be there right away. Everyone was stunned for a while, and Howard said uncertainly, why did the smile from Owen's phone just now look so familiar? So many people's laughter. Penny murmured. So many girls. Leonard added. So enthusiastic. Rajesh looked longing. It's the voices of the lead singers of the Eternal Spear Choir. Sheldon, who has a high definition image memory and super Vulcan hearing, gave the correct answer at once. Are you kidding me? Howard thought wrongly at the first time and guessed the next restricted scene by accident and shouted with excitement. I'm not kidding. Sheldon said seriously, if I were kidding, I would add Bazinga at the end. Did you hear me say Bazinga? That's an exclamation, not a question. Howard said, and then said with a lewd look on his face, Jesus Christ. There are really people above Irving, and there are many more. I should have thought of it earlier. Leonard took the anime exhibition introduction booklet prepared by the hotel, pointed to the 12 beautiful figures that made the Otakus excited, and said, the Eternal Spear Choir is the opening guest of this year's anime exhibition. It is normal for them to get the tickets for the anime exhibition in advance. No, I'll call Irving now and ask him to introduce me to the 12 beauties of the Eternal Spear Choir. I'm their fan. Howard excitedly took out his mobile phone and dialed Irving's number. How is it? Leonard and the others also stared at Howard expectantly. Seeing that he hung up the phone without saying a word, they asked quickly. He turned off his phone. Oh, that's normal. Sheldon calmly analyzed, given Owen's supermale symptoms and his past relationship with the Eternal Spear, he should be frantically greeting the members of the Eternal Spear at this moment, and naturally he won't have time to answer your calls. What a godlike man. Rajesh murmured with a look of reverence. If he was in India, perhaps another Indian treasure book would have been published long ago. The possibility is very high. Sheldon's usual rational analysis, based on the number and quality of females Owen has hunted, and the good relationship after breaking up, Owen must have supermale abilities that are far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Coupled with Owen's other Shaw Kung Fu and the dancing ability he showed in the Eternal Spear Choir, it can be inferred that he has super flexibility. It is very likely that he will use his experience to publish another Indian treasure book. Ha. Owen just said that he has someone above him, and it turns out that there is someone. The second volume of the Indian treasure book, chapter 10, the category chapter, and the fifth volume, chapter 6, the harem chapter, are very consistent with the current situation. Yeah. Leonard and the other two were impressed. Wait. Penny was stunned and came to her senses after a while, shouting, have you all read the Indian Bible? We are scientists. Leonard said awkwardly. You should read it too. Howard smiled obscenely. The Indian Bible is our country's great contribution to the world, so you're welcome. Rajesh said proudly. You really should read it. Sheldon added, for someone like you who has a frequent private life, the Indian Bible is a good guide. Tattered. Penny waved her hand to interrupt Sheldon and said with some embarrassment, I can understand them reading this, but Sheldon, why are you reading this? Aren't you still underdeveloped? You know, children can't read this. I'm well developed. Sheldon said seriously, reading more and broadening your horizons are good ways to improve your wisdom. Why do you always think about the reproduction of dirty humans? Penny looked hopeless. Stop. Leonard interrupted with concern. Sheldon, don't you want to go to the venue early? The comic exhibition will start tomorrow, and many booths will definitely be arranged today. If we are lucky, maybe we can see the behind the scenes footage that we haven't seen before. Yeah. When Sheldon heard this, he immediately put down his teaching to Penny, happily gestured, and then remembered that he was wearing a Batman uniform, so he quickly put away this gesture that was obviously inconsistent with Batman's positioning. He flicked his cloak, lowered his voice, and imitated the voice of Batman in the movie and said, "I'm Batman. Penny, I also brought a set of Aquaman uniform." Rajesh said coquettishly, "Do you want me to give you the Wonder Woman uniform?" "No, thanks." Penny glanced at the Wonder Woman suit on Rajesh and refused with nausea. "Shall I buy you a new set later?" Sheldon and the other two walked in front, while Leonard and Penny walked side by side. Seeing that Penny was wearing casual clothes and looked awkward, Leonard suggested tentatively, "We are here together. We are a team, just like the Justice League. The most interesting thing is that Wonder Woman is the only female in the Justice League. No, goddess. If you dress up as Wonder Woman, we will definitely win the award for the best Justice League combination this year." The best Justice League combination? Listening to the heartfelt flattery of Leonard, Penny's unhappiness at being stabbed in the back by Sheldon on a daily basis suddenly disappeared, and a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. A lot. Leonard recalled the number of teams that dressed up as the Justice League every year, and emphasized, a lot. So this is a very honorable award. Okay. Penny came to play, so it was naturally hard to reject Leonard's kindness too much, so she agreed with a smile, but thinking of Rajesh and Howard, she asked, "Wonder Woman shouldn't be the girlfriend of Aquaman, right?" Leonard paused, and seeing Penny's face suddenly darkened, he quickly comforted her, "I will let Owen and Rajesh exchange uniforms. Owen will be Aquaman and Rajesh will be the Flash. It's actually no big deal." "Fine." Penny nodded and smiled. Leonard secretly calculated, Wonder Woman is in a relationship with Batman and Aquaman. Sheldon doesn't have to worry about it at all. Owen has no interest in Penny, and there is also the constraint of the brother code, so the only one left is me, Superman. In the comics, Superman and Wonder Woman have always been best friends, but in the end they naturally came together and became the love of their lives. This is definitely a magical omen. Our future children will definitely be smart and beautiful. Oh, no, smart and handsome. I remember in one issue of the comics, there was a man named Hunter with Wonder Woman's truth lock tied around his waist and Superman's cape behind him. That must be our child. With Leonard's super imagination, Leonard Superman Hofstadter is already with Penny Wonder Woman White, living a happy life without shame or restlessness. But in reality, it was Penny who looked at Leonard with a speechless face as he kept laughing. According to Leslie, without meat, one can only grow brains. On the contrary, Penny, who has no brains, cannot imagine the inner drama that is exploding in Leonard's mind at this moment. P.S. Thanks to Zanayusiki and Sanjiangxiao for the reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. Give you a baby. Loving you is easy cause you're beautiful. Making love with you is all I wanna do. The manager of the Eternal Spear Choir closed the door of the 12 Golden Hairpins suite, listened to the applause song that could not wait to sound inside, and shook his head helplessly. As a manager of a first-line band, before taking over the Eternal Spear, he had been in the entertainment industry for more than 20 years, and was used to all kinds of incredible and jaw-dropping scenes. As long as there was no big mess, and it could still bring him rich benefits, he did not care about the private lives of the 12 golden hairpins of the Eternal Spear. Holy shit. Is this a scientist or a beast? When he got up at 7 o'clock in the morning and knocked on the door of the 12 golden hairpins, he found that the song was still echoing. La la do you do. The familiar dolphin sound and the happiness in the song really surprised him. This is the voice of Karen Jackson, the lead singer of the Eternal Spear. As a lucky girl who climbed up from the bottom, although she has a superb dolphin voice, her star journey is quite bumpy. When the Eternal Spear really became popular, scandals about the 12 golden hairpins of the Eternal Spear emerged one after another, and as the lead singer, Karen Jackson, the scandals were overwhelming. The pressure of fame is very great. There are as many haters as there are fans. Karen's previous dissolute style destined her to have more haters than fans, and scandals are the favorite of gossip media. They madly bit this piece, trying to destroy the Eternal Spear and harvest traffic. But the agency behind the Eternal Spear is not a vegetarian. The qualified coping methods helped the Eternal Spear survive the storm, but Karen was really depressed for several years and almost let herself go. After that, just like other female stars, she dated various men inside and outside the circle intermittently, but none of them succeeded. He almost never heard this pure happy song again, but he didn't expect it to sound again today. Scientists are scientists. Can a scientific experiment really change a person? Knock, knock, knock. Thinking this in his heart, the agent felt a little admiration for mathematician Professor Owen Lee, but he still knocked on the door competently. Work is work. Today is the opening day of the San Diego International Comic Con. As the opening singing guests, the 12 golden hairpins of the Eternal Spear must be prepared in advance. There was no response for a long time. The agent pushed the door and found that it did not move at all, as if it was welded from the inside. He shook his head helplessly and started dialing. One number didn't work, 2 didn't work, and he dialed 7 in a row, and finally got through. "Becca, you still have half an hour," the agent announced in a decisive manner. God knows, if he didn't say that, how long would this scientific experiment last? He left before 7 o'clock last night. If there was no halftime break as he imagined, it would be a full 12 hours. Okay. Becca paused slightly and hung up the phone calmly. The agent finally breathed a sigh of relief. If Karen Jackson is the lead singer of the Eternal Spear, then Becca Mitchell, a girl who is not tall, but reveals stubbornness and self-reliance everywhere, is the spiritual leader of the Eternal Spear. As long as she is still sober and calm, she will definitely do what she promised. In the suite. Sisters, time is running out. Everyone get ready. Owen's personal luxury concert came to an end with a high-pitched ending. Becca informed the agent of the notice. As Becca clapped her hands to remind her, the 12 golden hairpins began to clean themselves up while chatting with Owen's sage Professor Lee. "Owen, your original choice may be right. After the excitement of becoming famous, being a star is really not a fun thing." Regina and Gretchen helped each other clean up and complained casually. "Yeah." Sugimoto echoed. "Endless notices, running around the world all year round. The hotel seems to have become a home. We work so hard, and there are so many people attacking us. If it weren't for the sisters stopping me, I really want to give up and go back to live an ordinary life." Owen's mouth twitched, thinking, you are the only daughter of a billionaire. If you really can't stand it and give up, you will inherit billions of assets when you go back. How can you be considered an ordinary person's life? Owen, you are amazing. Juno looked at Owen with admiration. The high school mother of the year has changed a lot after 10 years of transformation. That indifferent temperament is still retained, but there is an indescribable charm, coupled with a plumper figure. It is really heartwarming. A 30-year-old full professor at Caltech, a winner of the Fields Medal, a world-famous mathematician. I thought you were just a little better at studying. Who would have thought you could achieve such an achievement? But it's a pity. What's a pity? Karen Smith, who used herself as a pillow for Owen, asked cutely. Owen's genes must be high IQ genes, and he is from the other side of the ocean. Think about it, a mixed-race handsome boy or beautiful girl with high IQ. Wouldn't he be the favorite of some women who want children? Juno said as she fell into her own memories, obviously thinking of her son. Time flies. Her son is already 12 years old, and she is only 28 years old, still in the golden age of a woman. That's right. After being reminded by Juno, Regina, Gretchen and the others were somewhat tempted. Many of them were already over 30 years old. Although they were still young, if they didn't want to be dinks, it was time to start planning. Owen, who knew everything about them, and was excellent in all aspects, and in some aspects, he was so excellent that he was intoxicating, was definitely their best choice. Sorry. Owen patted Karen Smith behind him and asked her to take his clothes. He skillfully took out the scientific experiment report from it and shrugged, saying, "Thank you for your kindness, but I'm sorry to disappoint you." Oh, Regina and other girls shouted in disappointment. Holy shit. Juno shouted speechlessly, "Owen, you actually carry this report with you?" Ahem, I'm used to it. Owen laughed dryly. Karen, stop being a soft pillow. Hurry up and clean up. It's almost time. Becca, who was the first to clean up, saw Karen Smith still holding Owen's head in her arms with a silly look on her face. If you don't look carefully, you can't see Owen's face at all. She couldn't help but roll her eyes and urged, "Oh." Karen Smith responded, lowered her head, and looked down at the tiny Owen. After Owen nodded, she smiled sweetly, and the earth shook. Owen couldn't help but think of a poem that fits the occasion. The steam rises from Yunmeng Lake, and the waves shake Yueyang City. P.S. Thanks to Manranape for the reward. Chapter 90 Dating Equation. San Diego Comic-Con. Opening ceremony on the first day. Wow. It's the Eternal Spear. They are my idols. Hey, did you notice that they are in surprisingly good shape today? It feels like everyone is 10 years younger. They must have had a good rest last night. Maybe they bought something. Bullshit. They never touch those things. Come on. I mean, they bought money. The San Diego Comic-Con has such a big influence. They must have been paid enough for their appearance. What do you think I said? Well, it's very likely that they bought money, and a lot of money. When the 12 golden hairpins of the Eternal Spear sang and danced on the stage with ruddy faces and high spirits, some fans and audiences gathered below the stage talked about it. Anyone could see that the 12 golden hairpins were in particularly good spirits. Irving, did you do this? Howard was so wretched that his ability to accidentally hit the mark was almost a superpower. He was the first to notice the truth about the 12 golden hairpins buying money. Are you a perpetual motion machine? Howard, you know that perpetual motion machines do not conform to the law of conservation of energy. 12 hours a night is not a perpetual motion machine at all. Oh my god. Penny, who heard Owen's disguised admission, made the exclamation that Sheldon would often hear from next door in the future, and her eyes were ignited again when she looked at Owen. She is a carnivorous girl from Omaha, and she has her own dating equation in the original time and space. Since she started dating at the age of 14, she was single for 2 of the first 3 years of knowing Sheldon. During that time, she dated 17 sweeters. If we go back, assuming that the left half of the bell curve was at its peak at that time, that means that, when Penny was 24 years old, she had dated 193 men. Of course, Penny's favorite is alcohol. During the dating process, she was in a dazed state most of the time, so this number is inevitably a little inaccurate, but the number will only be more, not less. This is just the dating equation, and there is also the carnivorous equation. Based on the number of strange men Sheldon saw at the door in the morning, plus the number of times he saw Penny coming home in the morning wearing clothes from the previous night. Westerners have strong body odor, and if they don't change clothes every day, they can't stand the smell themselves. Of course, we have to subtract the number of dates before eating meat, assuming it is 21. 193 to 21, asterisk 0.18 equals 30.96, which is approximately equal to 31 people. In other words, Penny has hit home runs with 31 different men in 10 years, and the number of people who played first base and second base with her is as high as 193. On average, she hits home runs with 3 people and hits first base and second base with 19 people every year. This number is of course far less than Owen, but among normal people, she can also be called a meat-eating slut. Of course, Penny is not good at math. Before Sheldon used math that would not lie to her, she herself had no feeling. However, the carnivorous style has been deeply rooted in her bones, and it cannot be deceived. One look can confirm it. Owen, who is both a super Tyrannosaurus Rex and a top mathematician, was swept by Penny's carnivorous gaze before eating. After confirming the look, he knew that Penny had once again raised the idea of hunting for food, because of Howard's words. "You are such a beast," Rajesh exclaimed. While Leonard's mind was full of envy and jealousy, making him a genius, only sigh and wish he could replace him, and he couldn't even say a word. Ha. Sheldon usually ignored these things, and his eyes lit up and said, "Owen, is this the reason why you suddenly became smart? Although I don't think highly of diligence, unlimited energy does give people an innate advantage in the process of acquiring knowledge and wisdom. Just like my high definition image memory." Owen wanted to refute, but to some extent, Sheldon's words were not wrong. His current achievements, in addition to Krypton's intelligence attribute value being raised to the highest level 5+ in the positive universe, are indeed related to infinite energy. If there is no reputation for infinite energy, with his Asian identity, the Goddess Driver card will definitely not be so easy to collect, and naturally there is no way to open skills 2 and 3. In this way, it is impossible to easily solve the Millennium mathematical problem and win the Fields Medal. You know, the Fields Medal is the Nobel Prize in mathematics. In terms of professionalism, it is even a street away from the Nobel Prize. Sheldon, who is also LV5+ intelligence, and has amazing mathematical talent, did not reach the threshold of the Nobel Prize until 10 years later, but he had no intersection with the Fields Medal. What Sheldon lacks is naturally not intelligence, but the inspiration that flashes. And inspiration is precisely something more magical and important than intelligence. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you may never have it in your life. In the huge scientific community, scientists who have won awards and achieved great success are rare. There are more people who have been unknown all their lives because of lack of inspiration. They are the foundation of the entire scientific community. The so-called foundation is an existence that is stepped on by others. Just like a certain point that Owen had briefly set foot on in his previous life, there are only a few people among the 5 whites, great gods, and small gods in the central plains. The unknown and nameless people who eat dirt and bran are the mainstream. Ha. I knew it. Seeing Owen speechless, Sheldon thought he was right. Unlimited energy is also a special talent. For people like him who believe in talent first, Owen, who is gifted, is understandable. Look, it's George Lucas. At this time, Sheldon's eyes swept across a figure on the stage, and he screamed, and immediately threw his thoughts on exploring Owen out of the window. Wow. It's really George Lucas. I didn't expect to be so lucky this year to see him here. Leonard and the other 2 were also completely attracted. As a hardcore Star Wars fanatic, George Lucas, who directed the Star Wars series of movies, is definitely a godlike figure. No matter. Even if I'm electrocuted by his bodyguards or detained, I must get close to George Lucas today. Me too. This opportunity is too rare. George, I love you. Sheldon and the other 4 began to fall into madness. But their madness did not attract any attention, because there were countless people with the same idea, and those wearing Star Wars character uniforms were even crazier than them. George Lucas was obviously used to this kind of scene. Seeing that the scene was a little out of control, he ended his appearance tactfully and left under the protection of his bodyguards. Sheldon and the other 4 had no chance to move forward. Seeing this situation, they wailed. P.S. Thank you for the reward from Leisure Leaking. Chapter 91 Queen Amidala. Hilton Hotel. Holy smokes. Penny looked at Leonard and the other 3 who had gone crazy after returning from the scene because of Owen's words. She just showed a trace of pity, and then she was shocked by what Leonard and the others took out. Leonard, is this cosmetics? Oh, my god. You are using high-end cosmetics. I have only seen them in specialty stores. Be careful. Seeing Penny talking, while picking up the cosmetics to try, Leonard didn't care that Penny was his Wonder Woman, and hurried forward to stop her. He took the cosmetics back from Penny very rudely and smiled awkwardly. This is special cosmetics for our cosplay. Okay. Penny spread her hands unhappily. It was the first time she saw Leonard refute her, and it was all for inexplicable cosmetics, so she couldn't help but say, "It's just to meet George Lucas. Are you so excited? It's just to meet George Lucas?" Sheldon, who was nervously putting on makeup, heard this and was immediately unhappy. He refuted, "Listen to yourself. This is George Lucas, the father of Star Wars, not some second-rate director who films a female gorilla killing people." Sheldon, be friendly. Penny just doesn't understand the status of George Lucas in our hearts. Leonard took back his cosmetics. Seeing the goddess being criticized, his dog-licking attribute returned to him, and he quickly came to Penny's rescue. "Oh, my god." Penny exclaimed in amazement. "Have you seen that movie? Are you talking about the murderous ape in which you played a female gorilla?" Rajesh interrupted and said, "As early as the first time you appeared in front of Howard, after you left, we found it on the internet." "You're welcome." Howard smiled obscenely. Gentlemen, this is an important moment. We are about to meet George Lucas. Please focus on this most important thing. Don't think with your lower body for the time being. Think about what poses we will use when we meet and take pictures next time. Sheldon couldn't help shouting. Yes, yes. Leonard nodded repeatedly and suggested, I think we should use the classic fighting poses in Star Wars. We can also do some sexy and sensual actions. Rajesh's daily gay obscenity. More sexy? Penny stood aside, looking at Leonard and the others' outfits, and shuddered as she imagined the beautiful scene. Yeah. After drinking, Rajesh was very coquettish and chatterbox. He walked in front of Penny and kept posing in various positions, wanting to let Penny see what sexiness was. Okay, enough. Penny couldn't stand it anymore and stepped back and waved her hands, saying, I understand. No need to demonstrate. Owen is really amazing. He actually allowed us to meet George Lucas privately. I wonder who his superior is this time. Queen Amidala. Howard said with a lewd smile. Shut up. Leonard's eyes widened when he heard about Queen Amidala. He changed his previous unrestrained attitude when he wanted to verify Owen's supermale theorem and angrily scolded. The person above Owen can't be Queen Amidala's. Okay. Howard was very familiar with Leonard. When he saw Leonard's expression, he didn't dare to speak out his imagination anymore. Queen Amidala. Penny's face was full of black question marks. The sensitivity of women, plus the innate special feeling of the goddess to her spare tire-licking dog, let her know that Queen Amidala definitely occupies an important position in Leonard's heart, perhaps even more than herself, and she was a little unhappy. Star Wars was once popular in America, and even the super plan of the same name indirectly destroyed a big country, but that was from 1977 to 1983. Now it is 2007. Although the Star Wars series is still released, it is mostly rehashed. 22-year-old Penny, of course, has heard of the name of Star Wars, but she would never go to the cinema to watch such a boring movie, let alone buy a disc like Sheldon and others to watch the first movie from the beginning, and even watch the audio commentary version and the director's extended version as a new movie. In the United States, copyright is very well protected. If Penny does not go to the cinema to watch it, or buy genuine discs to watch it, she will not be able to watch Star Wars. The Queen of Naboo, the embodiment of beauty and wisdom. Leonard blurted out, and then in Penny's strange eyes, he waved his hand with a strong desire to survive and said, Don't talk about this, Penny, you are an actor. You should also be excited. George Lucas is a world-class director. Oh, shit. Penny came back to her senses, slapped her head hard, and hurried back to her room to clean up. Guys, are you ready? Owen called. Okay. Sheldon said first. Okay. Come over. Remember, there are only 3 minutes, and be careful about your movements. George Lucas is not an ordinary person. I have spent a lot of time for your meeting this time. Owen didn't say that he spent a lot of money. During college, he was in Las Vegas. Because of his consideration of propriety, he earned pocket money, which was just enough for his daily expenses. He really made a fortune by solving the Millennium Mathematics problem and the $1 million prize awarded by the Clay Mathematics Institute. Later, when Owen graduated with a doctorate, he took the $1 million and used the driver card he got from Krypton Life and Flash Racing to exchange for skill 2. He imitated one of his mathematical predecessors and used his genius mathematical talent to build his own financial mathematical model. In front of the real top mathematicians, financial tycoons and undefeated stock gods are all scum. In just a few years, Irving easily earned billions of dollars, which is why former New York headhunter Jamie Kunis chased Irving to Pasadena. But for Irving, money is just a number when it reaches a certain level, and it may even become a burden. In addition, the time has come for Irving to join the Big Bang Theory group, so Irving resolutely gave up the chic life in New York and became a professor in the Department of Mathematics at Caltech in a low-key manner, in the presidential suite of the Hilton Hotel. As soon as the 3 minutes were up, George Lucas left decisively. It was really that the poses of these fans in the group photo were too speechless. Sheldon was okay with the same chin-touching pose for thousands of years, while Howard and the other two had all kinds of brain-opening changes, striving to be unique, so some of the poses were so embarrassing that even the people watching next to them felt ashamed. Irving, I can't believe you can invite George Lucas. You don't really have Queen Amidala above you, do you? The four of them put away their magical powers with an unsatisfied look, and Howard asked with a wretched face, Queen Amidala. Owen smiled. You mean classmate Portman? Oh, I have a bad feeling. Rajesh glanced at Leonard. Owen, do you know Queen Amidala? Leonard asked with his eyelids twitching. Of course. Owen smiled meaningfully. She is a super academic master among stars, a superstar among academic masters. Believe me, if you can see her other side, you will definitely like her more. P.S. At GENERALLY speaking, I'm really sorry. As the first helmsman of this book, I will add one more chapter for you after it is published to express my apology. Chapter 92 Sailor Moon. Hilton Hotel. Oh, no. Listening to Irving's meaningful words, even if he didn't have Howard's accidental superpower, Leonard, who had seen Irving's legendary experience, still let out a wail. Even though he couldn't believe it, deep in his heart, he still chose to believe that it really happened. I believe Queen Amidala should say, oh, yes. Howard was as obscene and coquettish as ever. Well said. Rajesh smiled knowingly. Ha ha. Leonard glared at Howard, and Rajesh with bulging eyes and sneered twice. Ops. Howard smiled at Leonard, put his finger to his mouth, and made a zipper pulling motion. At night, the San Diego International Comic Con held a grand party. Countless cosplayers in various uniforms walked through the entire venue. Under the lights, it was simply a gathering of superheroes and demons and monsters. The crowd was divided into three groups. Owen accompanied the most innocent Sheldon to various theme parties. Leonard, who was a little depressed, was accompanied by Penny. Facing the spare tire-licking dog Leonard, who was sad for another woman, Penny should have been very angry, but at the same time, she was more proactive than before. Patiently accompanied Leonard, and took the initiative to swing a bat, allowing Leonard to reach first base. I can only say that you can't guess the goddess's mind. How about that beauty? Rajesh and Howard, a pair of good friends, walked shoulder to shoulder in various parties, hiding in a corner, drooling at all kinds of uniforms and beauties, and commenting on them, as if they were ready to attack. Very good. Then you go. I'll wait. You go first. I'm not in a hurry, you go first. Both of them were thieves with the heart, but not the courage. After shirking for a while, they looked at each other, and saw each other's cowardice, and the scene suddenly became quiet. How about we try with some less attractive girls first? Rajesh suggested weakly. Good idea. Howard immediately agreed. Every time we choose a target, it's always the most beautiful girl. It's too stressful, and not suitable for us to practice. That's right. Rajesh looked around and began to look for a target. What do you think of me? At this time, a sweet female voice sounded behind them. But before Howard and Rajesh could recover from the sweet female voice, a pair of strong arms were placed on their shoulders on the left and right. This is. Howard and Rajesh were shocked and looked in the direction of the strong arms. They slowly turned their heads and saw a heavyweight figure in the middle of them. Sailor Moon. Howard and Rajesh stared at the strong figure in the middle wearing the Sailor Moon anime uniform in amazement. The 200-pound figure almost burst the slim-fitting girl-style uniform. Wait, where did you buy this dress? It's of such good quality that it didn't even burst like this. It's me. The 200-pound Sailor Moon smiled sweetly and said, I just overheard your conversation. If you want, I don't mind letting you practice. What do you say, Batman? Flash. Howard looked down at the strong hand pressing on his shoulder, paused for several seconds. His eyes were very devilish, then he looked up and exchanged glances with Rajesh. Okay, I'll join in. Me too. But that's my boys. The 200-pound beautiful girl patted the two of them lightly, and the powerful force made them tremble all over, and then their feet loosened, and they turned out to be two weak men, half hanging in the air, hugged by Sailor Moon on the left and right, and strode out of the venue. Weekend night. A black extended Cadillac courtesy car took everyone back to Pasadena. So, did everyone have fun at this year's Anime Expo? Owen looked around at everyone and smiled thoughtfully. Happy. This is the happiest time I've ever had in my life. The innocent Sheldon Cooper shouted happily. Leonard? Owen looked at Leonard, who was grinning. Happy? Leonard looked at Penny beside him unconsciously, grinning foolishly. Although his dream lover Queen Amidala seemed to be defiled by Owen, in reality, he hit first base with the real goddess Penny, so who cares? This was definitely the most exciting time for him, since Geraldine Coke gave him his first kiss when he was 19 years old, and Spy Joyce King ended his virginity when he was 24 years old. Howard, Rajesh. Owen looked at the pair of real friends who were pale and trembling unconsciously. He always felt that the two had experienced something extraordinary. Are you okay? Howard and I met. No. Although Rajesh was trembling, his expression was quite beaming. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by Howard's sharp voice. It's okay, nothing happened. Seeing Leonard and others looking over in surprise, Howard said a little ashamedly, "What's the matter?" Rajesh said disattentivedly, "Shut up." Howard glared at Rajesh. Rajesh looked back at Howard, and when their eyes met, they both shuddered again and quickly looked away. "Well, it's okay. Nothing happened." Rajesh said so, but he muttered to himself in his heart, "Why does it feel so weird without the 200-pound Sailor Moon blocking me? It's really okay." Owen was intrigued by the strange behavior of the two, and began to search his memory to speculate what the two might have experienced in the past few days. Holy shit. Suddenly, Owen's eyes shrank, and he thought of a possibility. He looked at Howard and Rajesh with admiration and thought to himself, science cheeks really know how to have fun. Penny? Very happy. Penny smiled. She had no reason to be unhappy. She sat in a luxury limousine, lived in a 5-star hotel suite, and drank expensive wine. In Penny's list of close friends, wine always ranked first. Very good. It's really good when everyone is good. Owen smiled with satisfaction, but then he checked the column of his relationship with everyone in the system. Howard, Rajesh, and Penny were still shown as friends. His smile faded a lot, and he couldn't help but curse inwardly, damn it. But after thinking about it, he felt relieved. It took Owen 16 years to promote Sheldon to a good friend, and it took Owen 10 years to promote Leonard to a good friend. Although everyone plays together often now, it still takes some time and effort to really promote Howard, Rajesh, and Penny to good friends. Without the precipitation of time, it is impossible to easily pass the system's certification of good friends. P.S. Thanks to Yen Fengxiuri and Aaron 911 for the reward. Chapter 93. The resentful woman comes to the door. TBBT apartment 4th floor. Oh, hi. Penny opened the door, carrying a large basin of clothes, and was about to go downstairs to wash clothes. She looked up and saw a handsome man in a suit looking at her. She immediately greeted him awkwardly. "How can I help you?" "Yes." The handsome man in a suit tightened his tie with his hands and raised his head and said, "Excuse me, is Owen Lee here? Are you looking for Owen?" Penny was a little surprised, and then she carefully looked at the suit and tie on the handsome man and found that they were all high-end private custom made without a brand. Thinking of Owen's previous big deal, she suddenly said, "You must be Owen's friend, right?" "Hello, my name is Penny, and I'm also Owen's friend. Barney Stinson." The handsome man in the suit corrected him with a strong tone. "Owen's best friend and brother." "Okay." Penny felt a little puzzled. "So, Penny." After Barney corrected her, he looked Penny up and down again, secretly giving her a score of 7. Thinking of Owen's style, his eyes lit up, and he asked passionately, "How is your relationship with Owen?" "Very good." Penny said casually, "Owen is very good. I admire him very much." "Nice." Barney raised the corner of his mouth, nodded slightly, and smiled meaningfully. Half an hour later. "Oh, stop it." Penny leaned against the door, her face flushed, and patted Barney lightly with a scolding look. There was a laundry basin under her feet. She was obviously aroused by Barney, and forgot what she was going to do. "Seriously, do you want to see it?" Barney, who is proficient in psychology and has practiced hundreds of times among women, knows women's minds very well, and naturally will not back down because of Penny's words. Furthermore, he regarded Penny as a target that Owen had not had time to attack yet. He wanted to surpass Owen, so he naturally did not want to give up this great opportunity. "Okay." Penny only had time to say "Oh, in her okay," and then she could say nothing. Click. The door of room 4B was shut heavily, and the entire 4th floor became quiet again. Only a large basin of clothes was left there alone, silently accusing something. Another half an hour passed. Wow, a light sigh sounded. "By the way, are you here to see Owen?" After the hormones faded, all that was left was embarrassment. Penny, who had sobered up, only then remembered the reason why Barney came here, so she asked unconsciously, trying to break the awkward atmosphere. "Yes," Barney replied lazily. "They are playing games in the next room." Penny said casually. "What?" Barney jumped up straight, his eyes wide open, with an expression of disbelief. "Are you okay?" Penny was startled. "What do you think Owen is doing?" Barney asked anxiously. "He's playing games with Leonard and the others in the next room." Penny said cautiously. "Today is the 3rd day. Sometimes they play games for 96 hours straight on weekends." "No." Barney shook his head in disbelief, put on his clothes skillfully, and ran out of room 4B. Seeing that something was wrong, Penny also put on a piece of clothes and followed him. Room 4A. Barney pushed the door open suddenly and saw 5 people sitting around on the sofa. Each of them held a high configuration gaming laptop, wearing a headset, staring at the screen, and constantly operating on the keyboard with both hands, shouting and gritting their teeth. "Oh my god. There are too many goblins. Don't stand there stupidly. Fight. Run. Keep the formation. Leonard, there's a monster behind you. Want to sneak attack me from behind? Don't even think about it. I'll kill him. I got it. Tonight I'm going to drink the blood of the goblins. Rajesh, that's a trap. They want to attack us from both sides." "Oh, they hit me, Sheldon. They hit Rajesh. Use the stun spell." "Owen, hold him from the side." "No." Barney looked at the scene with horror. His legs and feet softened, and he fell backwards. He was supported by the big-boned female man Penny, so he didn't fall to the ground. Barney's shout was loud enough, but it couldn't reach the ears of the 5 people who were wearing headphones and fully engaged in the battle. After a full minute, the 5 people were still typing frantically. "Are you okay?" Penny looked at Barney worriedly. Barney pushed Penny's hand away in panic, staggered to Owen, and snatched the laptop from Owen's hand. With a snap, the Dell Alienware laptop worth $2,000 was thrown to the ground by Barney. "What the hell?" This time, the noise was too loud, and Leonard and others had to interrupt the game and complained. "Owen, how could you do this?" Barney pointed at Owen and shouted tremblingly. "Come on, Barney." Owen looked at Barney speechlessly and grinned. "Don't act like a resentful woman abandoned by me. I'm a loyal man. I always like beautiful women with invincible appearance. Don't tarnish my reputation. Don't change the subject." Barney shouted sharply. "You know what I'm talking about." Okay. Owen stood up and pressed his arm lightly. "Calm down, Barney. I know you don't like this lifestyle." "This lifestyle?" Barney interrupted Owen sharply and shouted angrily. No. This is not life at all. That was what we used to call life. That is legend. Wait for it. Dari. Legendary. We are legends. All kinds of fantastic ideas galloping on horses. Every day when we open our eyes, we see towering mountains, and the place where we fall is either a trickling stream or a turbulent sea. The whole earth is our hunting ground. That's life. We are best friends and each other's wingmen. You actually abandoned our legend for this lowly, dirty, incompetent, meaningless bunch of crazy squirming meat. Enough. Owen saw that Barney was getting more and more excessive, and couldn't help but frowned and shouted. "You yelled at me." Barney pointed at Owen in grief and anger. Seeing Owen frowning at him, he ran out and slammed the door. Before Penny, Leonard and others who were confused could come to their senses, the door was pushed open again. Barney, who was calm and composed, straightened his suit, looked around at everyone with a smile and said, "Hi, everyone. My name is Barney Stinson, Owen's best friend, and I'm glad to see you all." "Barney, they are all my good friends. You should apologize to them," Owen said in a deep voice. "Okay." Barney looked at Owen in surprise and saw that Owen looked serious. He knew Owen very well and knew that he couldn't fool around and had to apologize sincerely. "I was just joking with you guys. Sorry." Chapter 94. People are divided into groups. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. It's okay. Forget it. No. I don't accept it. Facing Barney's apology, Leonard and Rajesh admitted it directly. Before Howard could say anything, Sheldon exploded. It took us 96 hours to reach the Gate of Elzebub, conquered countless levels, killed countless goblins, and was about to get the Blade of Azimuth, but failed because of your interruption. So, I don't accept your apology. Oh. Sheldon, relax. Howard took his hands off the keyboard to show his innocence, and pressed a virtual key to Sheldon. Barney is family. How can you be so rude? Family? Sheldon didn't buy it, and shouted angrily, I'm a night elf thief. I don't have any family at all. If I had got the Blade of Azimuth just now, I would be a sword master now, and I don't need any family. After that, he walked into the bedroom. I'm sorry. Barney was also confused for a moment. He knew that game addicts existed, but his world was too far away, and he had never had close contact with them. Sheldon's reaction was completely beyond his expectations. However, his brain circuits have always been peculiar. If it were an ordinary person, facing such a response, he would either feel ashamed or angry, but what he saw was a kind of persistence, a persistence similar to his tireless gameplay. Coupled with Owen's aura, Barney actually admired Sheldon a little. Don't worry about him, you are really interesting. By the way, do you still need a wingman for your lifestyle? Howard waved his hand, looked at Barney with shining eyes, and asked to join. It was really that the picture Barney painted was too beautiful, which made Howard yearn for it. Look up at the peak and drink the stream. Whip the man and shout loudly, and ride the horse on the grassland. How cool it is. You're welcome anytime. Barney looked at Howard and found that he had some potential, so he didn't reject him immediately. He nodded slightly and said, but before that, you must do one thing first. One thing. 100 things will do. Howard shouted happily. We are a group of top predators. Barney raised his head and raised his hand slightly, reciting like a poet in the Middle Ages, in the eyes of the world, we are noble, and everyone should crawl at our feet, and the noble top predator must have his equipment. Equipment? Cool. Howard looked expectant. Yes. Barney gently stroked his suit from top to bottom and said affirmatively, a luxurious suit is a necessary equipment for a noble top predator. Look at me, and then look at you. Come on. Are you still a baby living with your mother? How can a baby hunt? So, suit up. Put on your suit, and then go to the battlefield with us. Tonight will be a legendary, wait for it, day. Legendary. A legendary night you will never forget. Howard was ashamed at first, because Barney inadvertently poked at the fact that he was still a mama's boy, and then he was moved by the legendary night mentioned by Barney. He raised his finger and said, wait a minute, I'll go back to equip myself first. As he spoke, he walked out, took out a mobile phone from his pocket, dialed a number, and shouted into the number, Mom, how many coupons do I have for my coming of age gift? Yes, I want to redeem them all. I like him. Barney pointed at Howard's back and smiled at Owen. Can I join in? Rajesh couldn't help but raise his hand. Foreigner? Barney glanced at Rajesh and nodded slightly. Before Rajesh could show his joy, he suddenly changed the subject. Sorry, we already have a Chinese named Irving in our legendary team, but I have a good place to recommend to you. What is this? Rajesh stared at Barney in a daze as he took out a pen and wrote a line of numbers on his arm and asked in confusion. This is my brother James' phone number. Barney winked and said, believe me, you will definitely like playing with him more. His lifestyle is also very awesome. Really? Rajesh said stupidly. Okay, Barney, stop joking. Owen saw that. As soon as Barney appeared, he first angered Sheldon and ran away, and then fooled Howard into going back to exchange for the coming of age gift coupons, and was ready to put on a suit and go hunting. Now he introduced Rajesh to his gay brothers. He glanced at Penny, who was only wearing pajamas and had a very ugly face, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart that Barney's ability to stir up trouble was too strong. Rajesh, stop calling. James is gay. Sorry, you're not? Barney apologized with a surprised look. Of course I'm not. Of course I'm not gay. Rajesh waved his hands again and again, indicating that he was not, but in Barney's sincere eyes, His voice became lower and lower. Guilty and unconfident emotions rolled over, picked up his coat, and walked out. I have something to do. I have to go. Bye. I'm leaving too. Penny glared at Barney with an ugly face, gnashing her teeth and said, Barney, as a carnivorous girl from Omaha, although her achievements are not as good as Barney's 1,000 kills, let alone Owen's 500,000 kills, but according to Sheldon's dating equation and carnivorous equation that never lie, she is at least half 100 kills, and has severely injured more than 200 people. If Penny still can't tell who Barney is after what he did just now, then she is unworthy of being the third slut of the Big Bang Theory. She suffered from not having read many books, not being a female scientist, and her thinking was still at the level of ordinary people. Naturally, she could not compare with Leslie Winkle, an experimental physicist who was tired of waking up every morning next to many unknown men, and Elizabeth Plimpton, an astrophysicist who liked to play role-playing. Because both of them were female scientists, and they had many similarities with Owen, the most prominent of which was that they liked teamwork. You know, individual strength is always inferior to team strength. Barney, why are you here? Owen began to ask after everyone dispersed. Of course I came to see my best friend. Barney smiled. Haha. Owen laughed and said, Barney, what happened to Ted? Has he met his soulmate, and is no longer your wingman? Woo woo woo. Barney pretended to cry and complained, Owen, you know me best. I'm so disappointed with Ted. He actually said I love you to her the first time we met, and he pursued her so hard that he even stopped participating in our daily hunting. As expected, Owen thought, Ted must be a seemingly honest and affectionate man, is actually an out-and-out scumbag. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. How can someone who can play with Barney every day be a good person? Of course, Owen is an exception. He is a truly dedicated good man. P.S. Thanks to Leoguoji and Gaoji Owen for the reward. Chapter 95 Mysterious Host. TBBT Apartment. Room 4A. After Barney and Owen agreed to go out at night, they went back to the hotel. What happened? After Barney left, Leonard recalled Penny's strangeness and the possible reasons for it. He suddenly lost his composure and shouted with a green face, who is this guy? Oh, Leonard. Owen looked at Leonard with sympathy. When Penny showed that expression, he had already guessed it in his heart, not to mention Barney was winking at him, with a lewd and cheap expression of scoring first. Even Owen could hear Barney's inner voice at that time. Brother, come and give me a high five. Don't worry too much about Barney, he is a New Yorker, just coming here to play. Click. Leonard's heart was half broken. Playing is just a verb, which is actually nothing important, but the noun that Owen didn't say after the verb is the key. Isn't this guy a super rich man? Leonard began to ask, his eyes full of uneasiness when asking questions. In fact, Leonard himself knows what kind of person Penny is. Perhaps there is no market for such a woman on the other side of the ocean. Even if there is, she is hiding. But in America, Penny, an American girl who looks good, Western aesthetics, loves sports, has a good personality, and has been pursued by countless boys since childhood, is definitely a rare existence for a science geek like Leonard, even if she is blatantly killing hundreds or thousands of people. The words goddess, kneeling, and licking are very magical. Between active and passive, there are 3 types of people. Leonard is obviously one of the licking dogs under Penny's skirt. Penny is ambiguous with him on the one hand, but on the other hand, she hits a home run with a stranger she just met. Leonard is jealous and sulking, and the rest is only deep worry. Worried that Barney is a super rich man that countless girls like Penny can't refuse. As for being angry with Penny and breaking up with Penny, it is impossible to break up with her in anger. I will never break up with her in this life. Or will he be despised? Just kidding. If Leonard is so tough, he will be despised by Howard and Rajesh, who are watching him covetously. You know, when Rajesh and Penny got drunk all night, Rajesh directly elevated their relationship to the height of love and engraved Penny's name forever in his girlfriend list, even though Rajesh's real name is Rajesh the Flash Q Sapari. Rajesh also revealed Howard's thoughts in one sentence, that is, Howard was jealous of Rajesh for being a lucky dog. With so many takers, Leonard dared to be tough. I'm afraid that when this idea just came up, Hofstadter, the wise and perseverant Leonard's happy monk, swung his sword, and cut it off with an IQ of 173. He's not a super rich man. Irving shook his head. Huh, that's good. Leonard exhaled lightly and wiped the green sweat on his forehead. But, Owen looked at Leonard sympathetically. This guy is an executive of the New York Giant Bank. He will never lack money. His only pursuit in life is to pick up girls in various ways. He also likes to play pranks. He is the kind of person who is willing to give everything to realize his wonderful ideas. The key is that he has a big imagination, so don't attract his attention. Otherwise your heart will not be able to bear it. Damn. Leonard couldn't help but curse, and he also had a general understanding of Barney in his heart. He is a rich, playful, and very playful bastard. This kind of person is simply the nemesis of a science geek like him, and is a continuation and upgrade of the nightmare of student life, because this time, there is no graduation dividing line. The doctoral degree can stop the former school bully bastard, but it can't stop the bastard with Franklin's Law. In America, if you have money, you can really do whatever you want. At night. Nice suit. Irving looked at Howard in a tight suit and couldn't help but joked. You spent a lot of money on the gift vouchers, didn't you? Yeah. Howard twisted uncomfortably and said distressedly, it cost me $2,000. Is it worth it for a word from Barney? Irving said speechlessly. Of course it's worth it. Howard said affirmatively. Based on my decades of experience in single fantasies, I can tell at a glance that Barney is a legend. Tonight must be the legendary night he talks about. I'm willing to spend as much as I can for this. As long as you are happy. Irving patted Howard on the shoulder and said with a smile, Howard, you are proficient in 6 languages, and you speak the other side language well. Do you know the idiom birds of a feather flock together? Ha ha ha. Howard is indeed a language genius. As soon as Irving said it, he really understood it. He pointed at Irving with both hands and laughed awkwardly. At this time, a black extended Cadillac courtesy car stopped in front of them. Hurry up, it's too late, get in the car. The car door was pushed open from the inside, revealing Barney with an urgent look on his face. I'll be right there. Howard rushed over. Irving walked over slowly. In the courtesy car. Barney, what do you want to do now? Irving complained. Didn't we agree that I'll take you guys to play around nearby? Ugh. Barney made a vomiting gesture and said dissatisfiedly, the plans you mentioned are all for old grandfathers. I, Barney Stinson, will always be young. Unless there are special occasions, how can I be a grandfather? Besides, we have one more partner tonight. Do you want me to embarrass myself in front of my new partner? What are your plans? Irving was too lazy to care. It happened that he had been in Pasadena for several months. Although he had no shortage of female companions, he always felt that something was missing. Now that he thought about it, he was afraid that what he missed was the crazy energy of going out to play with Barney. You know, Barney's routines are endless and always make people feel fresh. Where are we going now? Hollywood, of course. Barney said firmly, when you left New York and came to Pasadena, I thought you were here for the beauties in Hollywood. I didn't expect that you would disappoint me so much. Fortunately, you have a brother like me. Tonight will be a legendary night, but we have to pick someone up first. Pick someone up? Who? Owen asked curiously. A real guide? Barney said excitedly, a fellow Californian who is also a top predator like us. With his joining, our legendary night tonight will definitely be awesome. How did you meet? Owen suddenly had a bad feeling. We are pen pals. Barney said casually, don't you read my blog? He is a well-known writer and a former New Yorker. He moved to California later. We really get along well. P.S. Thanks to Aang Rufeng for the reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Challenges Everywhere. In front of an apartment building. The courtesy car stopped. Buddy, come down quickly, we are downstairs. Asterisk asterisk hash at percent hash and amp at asterisk asterisk yeah, I understand, brother, awesome, nice work, but you can speed up, you know what I mean. We'll wait for you. Barney hung up the phone, his face showing joy, nodding repeatedly and said, "This is my brother. Life is endless. Exercise is endless. Tonight will definitely be a legend. Wait for it. Day. Legendary night." What was that voice just now? Howard opened his mouth wide. He couldn't believe that he was still rushing to work after making an appointment and making others wait. This kind of person is really enviable. 3 minutes later, a beautiful young figure with a backpack walked out of the apartment. Seeing Barney whistling at her in the courtesy car, her eyes lit up and she smiled sweetly. She walked to the front of the car and stretched out her hand. Barney took out a business card from his pocket and handed it to her. He said in a deep voice, "Contact me anytime. Daddy is home." Wow. Howard's mouth was almost unable to close. What happened to this world? When did it become so easy to pick up girls? Owen, did you see that? Score 1 first. Barney smiled proudly at Owen. After seeing the impressive young girl just now and combining Barney's previous words, Owen had guessed who they were going to meet and kindly reminded Barney, "Be careful, don't let the fake dad become the real dad in prison." "What do you mean?" Barney was stunned, then reacted and shook his head and said, "No, it's impossible. She must be an adult." "Are you sure?" Owen asked back. "Shit." Barney thought about it carefully. With his experience in playing games, he really found many traces of the girl's immaturity. He couldn't help but hit his leg hard. He had committed countless crimes for picking up girls, but that was all in his base camp, New York, where he had strong connections and could easily deal with these little troubles. But now they were on the other side of America, separated by more than 4,000 kilometers, and his connections were greatly reduced. If he accidentally broke down here, it would be too unlucky. He didn't want to pick up soap in prison. What if he got used to it? How could he fight side by side with his brother James after he came back? Just like a couple's complementary personalities are more harmonious, a straight man and a gay are the best partners for picking up girls. The two assist each other and often have no problems. But if the two have the same goal, competition is inevitable and one party will fail. He doesn't want his brother James to be sad. "Yes, Barney Stinson, am so confident." Barney winked at himself in the mirror in his heart. "Sorry, I'm late." After a while, a middle-aged man with a t-shirt on the upper body and jeans on the lower body came over and greeted Barney through the car window. "Hank Moody." "Barney Stinson." Barney pushed open the car door and let Hank get in the car. Seeing Hank's left eye bruised, the old driver's super associative ability made him immediately understand what happened. "Awesome, Hank. You are having a lot of fun, haha." Hank was stunned and then laughed. "To be honest, I didn't expect it to be like this. At that time, I was hit by 2 punches on the head by her. I was really stunned. You know, she is a loyal fan of my books. I didn't expect her to be so wild, but I have to say that this feeling is quite fresh and strange." What are they talking about? Howard, who has an unexpected superpower, can't understand the conversation between Hank and Barney. He quietly asked Owen. It's really that his vision limits his imagination. Awesome. Barney smiled and had an eye conversation with Owen. "I must try this girl. You have masochistic tendencies. In my dictionary, Barney Stinson, nothing is impossible. You're willing to pick up even soap? Life is precious, but freedom is more precious. If it's for a pose, even orange flowers can be thrown away." Hank's description once again aroused Barney's curiosity, making him eager to try. He has a list of various challenges that he can add to at any time, and it is obvious that he has just added another one. In a luxurious bar. "Have you met Howard?" Barney did not forget his mission to help Howard integrate into their world tonight. He took Howard around the bar, observing the beauties. When he found a good match, he would walk behind her, pat her on the shoulder, and leave a message to the nervous Howard. This was a trick he was familiar with. But unfortunately, most of the beauties here were tall and model-like. Howard's hardware was not good, and his temperament was too vulgar, which made the software difficult to use. Howard messed up the tricks that worked well with Ted again and again. Forget it, not everyone is a teddy bear. Owen was sitting at the bar, joking with a beautiful girl who came to Hollywood to pursue her dreams. Seeing that Barney looked unhappy because of Howard's repeated failures, he couldn't help but remind her. "Are you challenging me?" "Barney, who had a depressed look just now, raised his eyes and looked at Irving with energy. Okay, accept the challenge. I must make Howard a qualified predator tonight. If I succeed, I want your gold belt and crown. Are you still thinking about this? Irving said speechlessly. Gold belt and crown. The beautiful girl next to Irving exclaimed with burning eyes. Irving, are you the king of a country on the other side of the ocean? Yes. Linda, Maggie, come here quickly. There is a king here. Oh my god. Before Irving could say anything negative, Barney confirmed it first, followed by the exclamation of the beautiful girl. After Barney secretly made an assist gesture, looking at the three cruel and brainless dream-chasing girls, Irving was too lazy to explain, and simply pretended to be a king, and started playing the real king game. In fact, with his wealth, it is not impossible for him to be a small king in the poorest place, so it is not completely deceiving them. Moreover, at this time, with the blessing of the king status, he was as generous as a king and had rich experience in the repertoire for so many years. Soon, Irving told Howard and took the girls chasing their dreams to chase their dreams. Sorry, I failed again. Howard was dejected and ready to retreat. Even with his thick skin, he completely lost confidence after dozens of consecutive failures. No. Barney screamed. He lost the gold belt and the crown to Irving. He dreamed of winning them back. He could never win Irving, who would fight in a group at any time, by himself. Now he finally has this opportunity. He must not fail. P.S. Thanks to the fantasy otaku for the reward. Chapter 97 Weird Smile. Call Tech. Noon. School cafeteria. So, how was last night? Rajesh used his fork to pick up his lunch without any taste and looked at Howard sideways, asking, I guess last night must have been a legendary night. Leonard raised his eyebrows and pouted his lips sarcastically when he thought about how Barney had become a lucky dog when they first met and how he had even had his pants taken off by Penny's ex-boyfriend in order to pursue Penny, and now several months have passed, the stray dogs downstairs have given birth to puppies, and he is still stuck at first base. It's not pleasant to think about it. Yes, a high-end bar that requires face recognition to enter. What catches your eye are long legs, angelic faces and devilish figures swaying in front of your eyes, charming smiles blooming for you, the scent of Channel lingering on your nose, and sweet voices surrounding your ears. Oh. What's wrong? Nothing. When Howard was describing it, Rajesh exclaimed, and when Howard looked over with dissatisfaction, he hunched over, lowered his head, and tried his best to reduce his presence, shaking his head repeatedly to show that nothing happened. What happened later? Leonard was also excited by Howard's description. He temporarily put aside his jealousy of Barney, looked at Howard eagerly, and asked, did you succeed? Howard's face froze, and the demeanor of pointing fingers just now disappeared. He lowered his head and whispered, none of this has anything to do with me. I didn't succeed in anything. What? Rajesh and Leonard shouted in unison. Not even one? Come on. Howard couldn't stand the contemptuous look of Leonard and Rajesh, so he put down his knife and fork and spoke up for himself. You know what those girls are like. They don't know how to appreciate me at all. What do they appreciate about you? Sheldon said. Vile. Obscene. Yeah. Howard nodded seriously. Even your magic is not good. Leonard joked. Don't mention my magic. Howard thought of the miserable scene when he was rejected again and again last night and said frustratedly, Barney can also do magic. His magic has become better than mine. He makes those beautiful girls laugh non-stop. I guess I will never learn it in my life. Are you sure it's because of magic, not because of your appearance or temperament? Sheldon asked seriously. Thank you for your reminder. Howard stared at Sheldon, and his heart was stabbed again, because he knew that Sheldon was right. The real reason was not whether the magic was good or not, but whether others gave you the opportunity to show off your magic. It's just that he didn't like this answer, so he instinctively blocked it. Thank you, your whole family. You're welcome. Sheldon smiled back and said seriously. Howard was speechless. He couldn't say any more dirty words to Sheldon, who couldn't hear sarcasm. Pasadena Airport. Okay. Owen speechlessly pushed away Barney, who was almost sticking to him, and spread his hands and said, I saw it. Isn't it okay for you to be awesome? Yeah. Barney had a pair of panda eyes, but he smiled very happily. He stretched out the index and middle fingers of his right hand and kept gesturing back and forth between his panda eyes and Owen's eyes. People passing by would subconsciously bypass him because Barney, who had obviously been beaten up, looked like a madman, but Owen knew what Barney meant. This pair of panda eyes is Barney's record. Owen, are you convinced? Barney raised his head and smiled. Last night was really awesome. You can't imagine Maya's madness. It's really unforgettable. This is the first time I find that being beaten is so exciting. This is also the first time I heard of such a wish. If you need it, I can hire 10 or 8 African brothers at any time to help you fulfill this wish. Owen joked. You are jealous. Barney smiled. I tried something you have never tried, so I won this round. Damn. I would have bet with you on this last night. That Howard really disappointed me. But it doesn't matter. I will definitely get my gold belt and crown back in the future. Are you sure you can do it? Owen smiled reservedly and looked down. I hate you. Barney and Owen looked at each other for a while. The confidence in their eyes disappeared, and he cursed bitterly. He has always been very confident in picking up girls, but when facing Owen, this confidence was immediately crushed into slag. In the 5 years they knew each other, he had seen too many magical team battle stories of Owen, and at that time he was still betting with Teddy Bear on who would become a Samsung user first. As a result, there is no doubt that the gold belt and crown he specially customized for this purpose were lost to Owen. In his eyes, the gold belt and crown represent the realm and status of a life player like him, and in this regard, no man will admit defeat. But every time I think of Owen's brilliant record, even a confident Barney feels a little desperate. Even if he is a groom every night, he can't compare to Owen's frequent group battles. Boarding begins. Owen reminded, goodbye, Barney. Next weekend. Barney said, come back to New York. We'll have a good reunion. We all miss you. You guys? Owen raised the corner of his mouth, smiling and saying, are you sure that includes Matthew? Don't worry about Matthew. Barney grinned and waved his hand, saying, don't you want to see what the woman who has confused Ted looks like? I know who she is. Owen thought so in his heart, but when he thought that this was Robin Jingjing, he was still tempted and nodded, saying, okay, I will definitely go there next weekend, or to McLaren Bar, of course. Barney snapped his fingers and walked towards the boarding gate with his gift. While walking, he turned around and gestured to Owen, and Owen could only helplessly return an okay gesture. New York. McLaren Bar. Same bar, same location, same group of people. Puff. A tall white youth, who was drinking beer, heard Barney's words and immediately sprayed out the beer in his mouth, shouting, no. Thank you, Matthew. Across from him, a handsome white youth with a friendly smile wiped the beer off his face and laughed at himself. Sorry, Ted. After the tall youth Matthew apologized, he asked Barney, what do you mean when you said Owen is coming back? Owen is coming back, the girl next to Matthew murmured slightly, her mouth corners unconsciously raised, and her eyes began to diverge. Lily. Looking at his girlfriend's expression, Matthew suddenly yelled. What? Lily was awakened by the yelling and lowered her head guiltily. After a while, a strange smile appeared on the corner of her mouth again. P.S. Thanks to Zoomugin for the reward. Chapter 98 Mr. and Miss Right. New York. McLaren Bar. Who is Owen? A gorgeous girl sat next to Ted. She took a sip from a small bottle of beer. Seeing the strange reactions of the crowd, she couldn't help but ask. A friend. Ted smiled slightly. A scumbag. Matthew gritted his teeth. A legend. Lily was in a trance. My brother. Barney tightened his suit and raised his head to sing. My wingman, a man who lives as freely as I do. After saying that, he glanced at the girl next to Ted and then blinked at Ted meaningfully. No. Ted was stunned, then thought of something. His face changed instantly and he stared at Barney. Countless joint combat experiences have enabled them to have the ability to communicate with their eyes. Yes. Barney, you can't do this. No, it's not me, it's Owen. Why are you doing this? Ted, you shouldn't give up the Earth's forests for a mere robin. We are the top predators and the king of the jungle. How can I watch my brother degenerate to the point where he is locked up in a zoo and has to rely on the charity of others to survive? Is Owen not your brother? Come on. Ted, you know who Owen is. Do you think he will treat Robin the same way you treat Robin? Damn. Matthew is right. Owen is a scumbag. Yeah. Owen is indeed a scumbag, but he is a super scumbag that women can't refuse. He has evolved scumbag power. Any prey he targets, even the hunting group, has never escaped. I hate you. Brother, you know, I love you forever. The eye contact conversation ended here. Ted looked sideways at the woman, who made him fall in love at first sight. In his premonition, this woman would be his wife and the mother of his children in the future, but she was not his girlfriend now. This was simply a ghost. Because when Barney told him that Owen was going back to New York, this magical premonition that made him firmly believe in it began to be transcendrift. Ted thought about it carefully and realized that this was completely due to the shock of Owen's reputation as the eternal kidney king. In the past, when the three of them went hunting together, Ted and Teddy Mosby were not afraid of Owen at that time and even regarded him as a good friend because the three of them had the same mentality at that time. They are all scumbags, so no one should say anything about anyone. Some time ago, when Matthew took his hand and said to him, "Will you marry me?" he replied, "Yes." After that, everything changed. Of course, Matthew used him as Lily to practice, but his heart was still shocked. Ted Mosby, a romantic Frenchman, announced in public in the bar that he was tired of hunting again and again, and he wanted to find his Lily, and then he saw Robin, the woman who made his heart beat. So, his mentality changed, from the indifference of hunting everywhere before to the expectation and uneasiness of wanting a man to farm and a woman to weave. But good things come hard, and his two confessions failed for inexplicable reasons. Before he could prepare for the third time, Owen Tyrannosaurus Lee was about to arrive on this battlefield. "Ted, what's wrong?" Robin felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by Ted and smiled awkwardly. "Nothing." Ted shook his extremely heavy head, suppressed the fear in his heart, and looked at Matthew and Lily opposite with firm eyes. As best friends who witnessed almost all the first times of this best couple, both sides also have the ability to communicate with their eyes. "No. Ted, you can't do this." "Why not?" "Because you will fail again. Believe me, this is definitely not a good opportunity for you to confess your love to Robin again." "Lily is right, Ted, don't let Owen affect your life." "No, Robin is my true love. I can't let Robin be defiled by Owen." "Feelings can't be forced. If Robin and Owen really fall in love, it won't help, even if you are her boyfriend." "No, it works. We have the bromance. As long as Robin becomes my girlfriend, Owen can never touch her again." "Come on. Ted, there is no such thing as the bromance. It's all made up by Barney. If you really believe it, you will be the only one who suffers." "Matthew, I forbid you to say that. The Brotherhood Code is so sacred, how could I make it up?" "Shit. Barney, you can actually join our eye contact?" "Yeah, I'm Barney Stinson. There's nothing I can't do." "Hello." Robin watched Ted and the other four's eyes converge together, her eyes twitching like spasms, staring for a long time, and finally couldn't help but remind loudly, "What's wrong with you?" "Sorry, Robin, I have something to do. I'm leaving first." While apologizing, Ted stood up, dragged Barney, and left the bar. "Matthew?" Robin was speechless and couldn't help asking again, "Who is this Owen? Why do I feel that everyone is weird since his name was mentioned?" "I said, he's a scumbag," Matthew explained, but his eyes were fixed on Lily. "Robin, you'd better not contact him. Never." "Lily?" Robin didn't know where Matthew got so much resentment from. Knowing that she couldn't get the answer she wanted from Matthew, she set her eyes on Lily, who was guilty, but couldn't control the arc of her mouth. "Owen is a magical Chinese," Lily explained to Robin under Matthew's angry eyes. "He is handsome, smart, rich, and has an extraordinary temperament. He is a world-renowned mathematician and a winner of the Fields Medal. He also knows other Shao Kung Fu. He can defeat a group of people by himself." Beep. Robin's heartbeat suddenly stopped when he heard this, and he thought to himself, the mysterious Chinese who knows other Shao Kung Fu is so manly. He is also proficient in music and dance. Even the Eternal Spear Choir is said to be founded by him. Beep. Listening to Lily's words, Robin's heartbeat stopped again, and he thought to himself, he is good at dancing, and can play in a band. Oh my god, it's so romantic. Lily. A jealous roar sounded. Of course these are all external. Lily's voice lowered. He is like Barney, both are playboys, never seriously dating, and I heard that he also carries a scientific experiment report with him. Beep beep. Robin's heart almost couldn't take it, and he shouted in his heart, big player, scientific experiment report, is this the Prince Charming given to me by God? The most important thing is, I heard that he is very powerful, very powerful. Although Robin and Lily had only known each other for a short time, at this moment, they magically opened up the ability of eye contact. Meeting Lily's devilish eyes, Robin took a breath, and stood up in a state of disarray. When will Owen come? PS. Thanks to a new gayo for the reward. Chapter 99 Searching for Mom. One day in the future, an old man sat down in front of two young people, a man and a woman, and began to tell stories as usual. Children, let me tell you a story, a magical story about how I met your mother. Come on. Dad, can you skip this beginning and go straight to the story? Yes. Or go straight to the part about your mother. You have been telling us for several months, and you are still talking about your romantic love story with Aunt Robin. When will it end? Okay. The story officially begins. The autumn of 2007 was the most tormenting period of my life. You know, I just met Robin at that time. When I saw her for the first time, I knew that I fell in love with her. Yeah. We all know that you and Aunt Robin fell in love at first sight. Can you skip this part? No. It was because Robin and I fell in love at first sight that the autumn of 2007 became my nightmare hell. Okay, don't look at me like that and continue to tell the story. In the autumn of 2007, after Robin rejected my confession twice, although I still loved her deeply in my heart, I also knew that I couldn't force it, so I chose to let it go temporarily and become good friends with Robin. We, your Uncle Matthew, Aunt Lily, Uncle Barney, the five of us often get together at the McLaren bar. It was a happy time. During this period, Robin had several relationships, but they soon broke up. Of course, I was often dragged by your Uncle Barney to be his wingman. Dad, seriously, are you sure that you were dragged by Uncle Barney every time? Ahem. That's not important. What's important is that in my heart, I love Robin deeply and have been waiting for her. And I also feel that Robin loves me too. She just doesn't dare to accept it until Owen is led back to New York by Barney. Wow. It's Uncle Owen. Uncle Owen finally appeared. Our dad, you don't need to say it, it must be Aunt Robin who fell in love with Uncle Owen, and this kind of love is just like you fell in love with Aunt Robin at first sight, wonderful and profound, so it makes you very painful, right? You are such a clever little ghost, how did you guess it? I remember every story before, you can't imagine it? Oh, Dad, I don't need to explain it in detail. Yeah, Uncle Owen is so awesome, and his other side kung fu is so cool. When will you invite him to teach me? Yes. Uncle Owen is so awesome. After all these years, he seems to have never aged, still so young, handsome, and extraordinary temperament. Oh, God, if he wasn't Chinese, I would have thought he was an angel incarnate. I really want to be with him. Stop. Jesus Christ. Baby, what are you thinking about? Don't look at him like that. He is your elder. How can you think like that? What's the big deal? If you don't say it, Uncle Owen looks about the same age as us, and we are not related by blood. Love is free and sacred. If Uncle Owen didn't want to, I would have wanted to be his girlfriend a long time ago. And I remember that you and Uncle Owen don't have a good relationship. In order to make up for the rift between you, I'm willing to give everything, sister. I support you. If Uncle Owen becomes my brother-in-law, he will definitely be closer than an uncle. Then it will be easier for me to ask him to teach me other side kung fu. Awesome. Oh my god. Baby, what did this scumbag Owen do to you? Did he touch you when he came over and took you to Ocean Park? You are only 18 years old. I will kill him. Dad, you said I'm 18 years old. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions. Don't tell me that when you and Uncle Barney were young, you didn't date girls who had just become adults? Of course you did. I saw Uncle Barney's Twitter yesterday. He was still dating a beautiful girl who looked younger than us. Uncle Barney is so cool. Uncle Owen is even cooler. Stop. Did Owen touch you? Put down the shotgun. Dad, relax. I remember you are a gun banner. How come you are like Aunt Robin, pulling out a gun at every turn? Although I really want to have a romantic date with Uncle Owen always refuses. But I can understand it. Just look at the girls that Uncle Owen dates every time. It must be because I'm not pretty enough and my figure is not good enough. Oh, baby, don't be sad. In my eyes, you are the most beautiful. Thank you, Dad, but I would rather have Uncle Owen say this. Oh ha ha ha. Son, what are you laughing at? Haha, haven't you read Uncle Barney's guides to picking up girls? If I say what my sister just said to Uncle Barney, the effect will be absolutely explosive. Really? Of course, Uncle Barney's catchphrases, Daddy is home I see, that's a good idea, why haven't I ever thought of it before, I must try it with Uncle Owen next time. No. Old Ted Mosby looked at his beautiful young daughter in horror, and a thought flashed through his mind. The autumn of 2007 was not the worst and most painful nightmare period of my life, but now. God, please forgive my indulgence in my youth. I know I have hurt many good girls, Victoria, Stella, Zoe, Cindy, Karen, and countless girls whose names I can't remember. I'm sorry, I was young and ignorant at that time. Please don't punish my baby. Damn Owen, he is almost 60 years old. Why does he still look like he is in his 20s? Are people on the other side so great? Can you do whatever you want with money? Even your youth can be preserved? Being interrupted like this, old Ted Mosby no longer had the mood to tell his children about the story of finding his mother. He now had only one thought, that is, to pick up a shotgun, fully loaded with bullets, and die with Owen, so that Owen would not lose control and desecrate his baby daughter. As a former top predator, he didn't believe in Owen's moral integrity at all, because facing a very proactive young and beautiful girl, especially this girl has a special identity, let alone Owen and Barney, if it were him back then, he wouldn't be able to stand it a few times. Autumn 2007. Owen, I'm going to kill you. Wake up, Ted, what's wrong with you? Did you have a nightmare? Ted woke up suddenly, looked up, and saw Matthew and Lily looking at him with concern. Yes, I just had a nightmare. What dream? I dreamed that. Hey, I can't remember it at all. Oh poor Ted. Lily looked at Ted with pity. The news that Owen is coming this weekend must have put too much pressure on you, but don't worry, you also know what kind of person Owen is. Wait for him to play. After the novelty wears off, he and Robin will definitely break up, and you will have a chance then. I have always believed that you and Robin are a perfect match. Yeah, brother, killing is against the law, and it's not worth it for Owen. Matthew patted Ted on the shoulder and advised in a gentle voice, besides, this is Robin's own choice. Be strong. There are many good girls out there. You just need to wait patiently. I understand. Thank you. Ted forced a smile and murmured in his heart, you don't understand. After Robin and Owen have dated, will she still be my blue French trumpet? Chapter 100. I'm the good man. Weekend. McLaren Bar. Wow Robin, you look really beautiful tonight, don't you, Ted? Barney saw Robin, who was obviously dressed up, and a flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. He couldn't help but whistled, and didn't forget to hit Ted. Yes, Robin, you look really beautiful tonight. Ted forced a smile. Lily and Matthew looked at each other, and their eyes were full of pity when they looked at Ted. Oh, thank you. Robin smiled embarrassedly. Actually, I'm dressed normally. Had Ted smiled falsely. Sorry, I suddenly remembered that I have something to do, so I'll go back first. Matthew's eyes flashed with determination, and he stood up and said, I'll be back later. Okay. Robin smiled and sat down. Baby, go ahead. Although I know that there is no point in you doing this, I still support you. Thank you, baby. Ted is my best friend. I have to do something. The moment Matthew stood up, he had a hidden eye contact with Lily. Outside the bar, Matthew hid in a dark corner, staring at the people coming and going, like a cheetah, ready to pounce on the prey at any time. 10 minutes later. Owen. Hey, Matthew. Oh, what are you doing? Owen, who had just got off the taxi, saw Matthew suddenly rushing to his side. Before he could finish greeting, He was dragged to a dark corner by Matthew. Owen, you can't do this. Matthew stared at Owen with his eyes. What can't you do? Owen was surprised. Robin. Matthew shouted, that is Ted's true love. We all know what evil plan Barney has to bring you back, so let's just put it out. Owen, I don't like you. You are just like a walking cannon, with endless indescribable thoughts in your mind, which is more hateful than Barney. I don't want my best friend to be fatally injured because of you, so please leave here, leave New York, and never come back. Are you done? Owen's face turned cold, and he said lightly, say, I'm done. Matthew was startled. He was swept by Owen's cold eyes. His passion just now faded away instantly. He said embarrassedly, I can't believe you said that. Owen said coldly, Matthew, you know, I have always admired you. Really? Matthew was surprised, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly unconsciously. No matter how much he disliked Owen, he had to admit in his heart that from a man's perspective, Owen exuded a strong legendary atmosphere, which made men envious and jealous, and of course hate. Being admired by such a legendary person, Matthew couldn't control the arc of his mouth at all. Of course. Owen said lightly, because many things about you are more like those on the other side of the ocean, and don't seem like American products at all. For example, your loyalty to your friends. Another example is your and Lily's I wish to get one person's heart and stay together forever, which is also a good quality worthy of praise on the other side of the ocean. Of course, there is also your love and so on. It is precisely because of this that every time I see you, I have a natural sense of closeness. Facing your cold words, I always smile and don't mind at all, whether it is on the surface or in my heart. This is not that I don't have a temper. It's just a tribute to you and those good qualities in you. The arc of Matthew's mouth corners became bigger and bigger, and his eyes looking at Owen began to flash with apology. You have a lot of opinions about my lifestyle, even much more than Barney, who lives almost the same lifestyle as me. Owen sneered, isn't this a kind of discrimination? And have you ever seen me touch Lily? You and I both know that with Lily's personality, even if she loves you deeply, if I really take the initiative, do you think Lily can bear it? Can't bear it. Matthew couldn't help but flash the image of Lily's slack eyes and silly smile in his mind, knowing that what Owen said was not exaggerated at all. Lily herself is a woman with overflowing hormones. It's not surprising that she is attracted to Owen, who can be called the walking hormone of men. This is also the problem, that Matthew is frustrated, but can't keep getting angry. Then do you think Lily is beautiful? Owen asked. Beautiful. Lily is the most beautiful in my eyes. Matthew blurted out. Owen's eyes flashed a smile, but he still said coldly, such a beautiful woman. What do you think is the reason why I ignore the passion in her eyes again and again? Because of me? Matthew said unconfidently. Yes, it's because of you. Owen said firmly, because of your precious otherworldly qualities, and because of my respect for you, and this precious quality, I have repeatedly suppressed my desires and wishes, just to help you two become the best couple. But what did I get for this? What I got was not your understanding and friendship, but your sarcasm again and again. Matthew, what do you think I did wrong? Just because I'm gifted, just because girls like me. This is America, and when women take the initiative, they are definitely not inferior to men. It can even be said that they are more aggressive. Think about it yourself. If you were me, could you refuse the enthusiasm of girls? No, I can't. Matthew thought for a moment, and didn't dare to go deeper, and lowered his head with shame. Any man would not be able to refuse, unless he is not a man. Of course you can't. Owen sneered. Even if it were you, you couldn't even refuse Lily, and you would definitely become a real human hormone, a self-propelled cannon. But I have a clear conscience. Counting my experiences since high school, from the beginning to now, I have been almost passive. At that time, I was just an innocent little beast boy, who was approached by a beautiful and open American female classmate, and then was discovered to be gifted. After my reputation spread, I attracted more girls, and then I came to where I'm today step by step. Just imagine, if it were a girl, this would be a tragic story. But I can still remain rational and calm until now, and never touch people I shouldn't touch. Isn't that enough? Enough. Enough. Matthew was questioned by Owen's truthful questions, and he was full of shame. Because what Owen said was indeed the truth. In America, it is said that men and women are equal, and girls are definitely not inferior to men in the pursuit of happiness. Looking back at Owen's experiences, from Karen at the beginning, to the 12 golden hairpins of the Eternal Spear, to the 24 bridges on a moonlit night, and now to Robin, who is about to meet, which one of them is a good person? According to the concept of the other side of the ocean, they are all out and out scumbags. This positive universe composed of the American comedy world is, after all, a daily life of scumbags. The Big Bang Theory is better, but Shameless American Pie, Glee, Finding Mom, Californication, Friends. Which one is not filled with a strong hormone atmosphere, good friends and good friends, boyfriends and girlfriends messing around? This is the daily life of this positive universe. Compared with them, Owen is definitely a good man with a clear conscience, who knows how to restrain himself. At least he will not use love to cover up the nature of indulgence and desire. How can there be so many bullshit loves that are so passionate that they will die? If desire and hope retreat, can't you just say break up? Lily, Penny, Bernadette, Amy. He wouldn't even touch them. It's definitely not because of aesthetics or appearance, but because of Owen's self-control and full of moral integrity that he is proud of. P.S. Thanks to TAOSZ for the reward. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.